Chapter 746. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. Please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet here. Gu Jiao and Xiao Hang had been waiting on the second floor of the library until the disciples came to close the door, but they didn't see Patriarch Mu come down. Xiao Hang said, "They may work until very late. Let's go first and ask Yu He later." Gu Jiao responded, "Okay." The two went out of the library and returned to the Qilin Hall. Little Jing Kong had just woken up and was sitting cross-legged on the bed in a daze. He slept for a long time and became muddle-headed. But as soon as Gu Jiao stepped over the threshold, he came to life in an instant. He jumped out of bed, stepped on his shoes, and ran over, shouting in a very low voice, "Jiao Jiao." He couldn't let others hear him. Gu Jiao touched his little head. "Did you sleep well in the afternoon?" "Yes." He nodded. Children are full of energy. Even if they experienced a day and night of running around, they can basically recover after sleeping for a whole day. "Huh? Where's the light Shui?" he asked. Gu Jiao said, "She's with her uncle." When she was in the library, she saw Zhang Dequan carrying the sleeping little commandery princess to the third floor. She should be sleeping next to the king now. The little commandery princess doesn't have the energy of Jing Kong. Gu Jiao estimated that she would sleep until tomorrow morning. "Are you hungry?" Gu Jiao asked. "Yes." Little Jing Kong said. Xiao Hang came in, glanced at the little guy, and said, "What do you want to eat? I'll ask the kitchen to make it." Little Jing Kong's face darkened in a second. "If you didn't say anything, Jiao Jiao would have made food for me just now." Xiao Hang looked at Jing Kong's angry appearance, which made him look like a chubby pufferfish. Xiao Hang curled his lips and said, "Oh right, Jiao Jiao. Help Jing Kong take a look at his teeth." "What's wrong? Do you have a toothache?" Gu Jiao asked. Little Jing Kong quickly covered his mouth and mumbled, "It doesn't hurt." Xiao Hang said, "Why doesn't it hurt anymore? Didn't you say that you had a toothache 2 days ago?" "I don't have any." He put his hands behind his back and looked up at the sky. Little Jing Kong did say that he had a toothache 2 days ago, but that was because he did not want to spoil his brother-in-law's extra homework. Gu Jiao thought that little Jing Kong was 5.5 years old. It was indeed the age for him to lose his teeth. It was time to check his oral cavity. "Let me see," Gu Jiao said. Little Jing Kong gave his bad brother-in-law a resentful look. He could reject anyone in the world, but not Jiao Jiao. Little Jing Kong opened his mouth helplessly. "Ah!" Gu Jiao gently turned his little body to face the light outside the window. Then, he took a cotton swab from the small medicine box and checked his baby teeth one by one. "One of your front teeth is loose." Gu Jiao said, "Pay attention to brushing your teeth during this period. Don't eat candy, and don't use your tongue against it." Little Jing Kong felt as if he had been struck by lightning. He could brush his teeth properly and not use his tongue against it, but it was too pitiful to not be able to eat candy. Xiao Hang walked over and patted his little shoulder pretentiously. "You must have loosened your teeth from biting that man's tooth. This is a heroic act. You should be proud. Why do you look so sad?" "That's because of you. Bad brother-in-law did it on purpose. He had no candy to eat." Xiao Hang sighed to Gu Jiao. "I just promised to give him candy." Gu Jiao said sternly, "Don't give it to him." Xiao Hang looked at little Jing Kong and raised his eyebrows. "Oh!" Little Jing Kong roared in his heart. "Ah! Bad brother-in-law is too hateful." The kitchen made porridge and egg noodles with vegetables. Firstly, it was to take care of Shangguan Yan's injury. Secondly, little Jing Kong couldn't eat meat. They ate in Shangguan Yan's room. Although it wasn't the first time little Jing Kong came to Qilin Hall, he was always late. If Shangguan Yan wasn't asleep, then he was asleep. Now, they were officially meeting. Xiao Hang already had a princess mother, and now he had a crown princess mother. Xiao Hang thought little Jing Kong would ask, but little Jing Kong accepted it very smoothly. Little Jing Kong walked out of Bai Shui Alley with his hands behind his back. He said with the same accent as Uncle Zhao, I know. You have a new identity. You're quite familiar with it. Xiao Heng, you can think of it that way. Gu Jiao also told Shangguan Yen about little Jing Kong's origin. He was a little monk adopted from a temple in the countryside of Zhao country. He didn't have parents, only a white-haired master who couldn't move. Gu Jiao put on protective gear for Shangguan Yen and helped her to sit down at the table. On the other side, Xiao Hang held little Jing Kong's hand and entered the room. It wasn't the bald little monk. It was a big cute baby with a small ponytail. He had a small round face, delicate and handsome facial features, big eyes, and long eyelashes. Little Jing Kong came to Shangguan Yen like a gentleman and said politely, Hello, Your Highness, my name is little Jing Kong. Shangguan Yen didn't speak, she just stared at little Jing Kong. She stretched out her hand and gently touched little Jing Kong's face. Gu Jiao, what's the situation? Xiao Heng, I don't know. After the two finished their eye contact, they continued to observe Shangguan Yan's reaction. Little Jing Kong was also dumbfounded. Why did this beautiful auntie touch him the moment she came up? Shangguan Yan opened her mouth and asked softly, What's your name? Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong repeated his name. Shangguan Yan asked again, How old are you? Little Jing Kong stuck out his small chest and said, 8 years old. Xiao Heng's mouth twitched. You're 3 years younger? Don't you know you only look 4 years old? No one would believe this kind of nonsense, okay? Jing Kong. Gu Jiao looked at little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong spread out his hands and said, Well, I'm 5.5 years old. Xiao Hang. 6 months is also counted? You. Shangguan Yen wanted to say something but stopped. She smiled and said, You're so cute. Little Jing Kong said with a smile, You're also very beautiful. After the two complimented each other for a while, the family began to eat. Little Jing Kong was too small, so there was no special stool for him in the state preceptor hall. Xiao Heng specially brought a high chair for him. Little Jing Kong sat opposite Shangguan Yen, while Gu Jiao and Xiao Hang sat opposite each other. During the meal, Shangguan Yen glanced at little Jing Kong from time to time. She seemed to like little Jing Kong very much. Little Jing Kong felt the kindness from Shangguan Yen and was very happy to get close to her. He also generously shared his vegetarian meatballs with Shangguan Yen. After dinner, he took Gu Jiao to the yard to catch fireflies. Xiao Hang and Shangguan Yen stayed in the room and watched the two playing from the window. Xiao Hang expressed his doubts. You seem to be very interested in Jing Kong. Shangguan Yen, who was sitting on the official's chair, looked at little Jing Kong and laughed. She said, No, it's just that when I saw him, I thought of someone. Xiao Heng paused and asked, Who? Shangguan Yen said, Your uncle. Xiao Heng said, I have many uncles. Shen Yuan Li had 6 sons in total. Shangguan Yen said, Your youngest uncle. When your grandaunt was pregnant with him, she was old and her body was seriously damaged. Your youngest uncle was much smaller than ordinary children when he was born. He could only walk when he was 2 years old and could only speak when he was 3 years old. He was weak since childhood and was the only one in the Shen Yuan family who didn't practice martial arts. He was also the least known to the world. The men of the Shen Yuan family were all outstanding in martial arts and had a lot of achievements. Only little Six always stood behind the door weakly and couldn't do anything. He even fell ill when he went out to bask in the sun. Little Six often laughed that he didn't look like a child of the Shen Yuan family. In the entire Shen Yuan family, he was the most useless one. He couldn't do anything for the Shen Yuan family. He was really ashamed of the Shen Yuan family's bloodline. Xiao Heng said, Jing Kong is as strong as a calf. He could eat, sleep, and do evil. He rarely got sick, and even if he got sick, he would recover faster than ordinary people. I caught it. I caught it. Little Jing Kong caught a firefly and ran around the yard excitedly. However, he didn't look at his feet. Extreme joy turned to sorrow and he fell down with a bang. The sound of him falling to the ground made Shangguan Yen feel pain for him. Who knew that in the next second, little Jing Kong got up and continued to run forward. Oh! It flew away again. No. I must catch it. Shangguan Yen sighed, it really doesn't look like it. If little Six fell like just now, he would die on the spot. Little Jing Kong was sweating profusely. Xiao Hang said to Shangguan Yen, I'm going to change to a Jiao Jiao. This child was too energetic. If he really played, he could make the whole family collapse. Besides, Gu Jiao didn't rest well last night. Xiao Hang wanted to let Gu Jiao go to bed early. Jing Kong. As soon as Xiao Hang came to the yard, the young princess ran over with her little dress. Little Jing Kong's eyes lit up. Light Shui. The two little kids met in the yard. Little Jing Kong tilted his head and said, Why are you here? The young princess sighed, They were quarreling and woke me up, so I came to find you. Zhang Dequan came over with a smile and saluted Xiao Hang, His Highness Zhang's son. Then he turned around and politely bowed to Shangguan Yen behind the window sill. Teacher. The young princess greeted Gu Jiao. Then she raised her little head and looked at Xiao Hang, waiting for Xiao Hang to greet her. Xiao Hang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Little auntie. The young princess nodded with satisfaction. Good nephew. Little Jing Kong suddenly whispered to her, Wow. You're so awesome. You're my his auntie. Then can you order him around? The young princess was puzzled. My nephew is so good. Why should I order him around? Because I want to order him around. I also want to turn my bad brother-in-law into Little Eight and play with him every day. Forget it. This plan doesn't seem to work at the moment. Little Jing Kong asked the young princess, I'm catching fireflies. Do you want to join me? The young princess played with her fingers. I can't catch them. Little Jing Kong patted his small chest. It's okay. I'll catch them for you. In the library. Except for two men of sacrifice from the state preceptor's palace, the emperor asked everyone else to leave, leaving only him, old Master Mu, and the state preceptor. Yi Qing was guarding the aisle. No one knew what the emperor said to old Master Mu. They only knew that old Master Mu was taken away by the people of the rearguard commandery. You can leave too, the state preceptor said to the men of sacrifice. The two of them nodded and left the study. The state preceptor looked at the emperor who was at his wit's end and asked, Your Majesty, are you worried that the rearguard commandery can't find evidence that the Mu family ordered Tong Wu? Although Pang Hai's testimony could prove that Tong Wu was an aide of the Mu family, it couldn't prove that it was the Mu family who ordered it. Maybe Tong Wu was bribed by someone else. The emperor snorted, If Wang Su can't even find evidence, he might as well resign. The state preceptor poured a cup of tea for the emperor. Your Majesty, why are you at your wit's end? Are you thinking about how to deal with the Han family? The Han family couldn't escape the crime of dereliction of duty. The emperor didn't speak. The state preceptor said, In fact, Your Majesty has long wanted to take back the Han family's Black Wind Cavalry and the Mu family's military power. With all due respect, the young princess's suffering is distressing, but this matter came at the right time. The emperor looked at him. It's rare for you to talk about the imperial court with me. The state preceptor smiled. I don't want to talk about it, but Your Majesty is waiting for me to talk. The emperor stood up and paced in the room for a long time. He came to the window and looked at the bright moon in the sky. Suddenly he said, 25 years ago today was the day you divined the divination for the Shenyuan family. The state preceptor's hand that was drinking tea paused. The emperor recalled, You said that the North Star appeared, and the emperor came out of Shenyuan. The state preceptor slowly held the teacup. Your Majesty. The emperor said, I'm thinking that I have already killed everyone in the Shenyuan family. I can sit back and relax, but why do I always feel uneasy in my heart recently? Are the people of the Shenyuan family really dead? No. The state preceptor said. The emperor frowned. The state preceptor said indifferently, There is also the crown princess and the emperor's grandson. They also have the blood of the Shenyuan family in their bodies. Your Majesty, if you want to eliminate all future troubles, you should kill them together. The emperor turned around and looked at the state preceptor coldly. Their surname is Shangguan. The state preceptor met his gaze indifferently. Jing In is also surnamed Jing. The two people's eyes were in a stalemate in the air for a while. The emperor turned around and continued to look at the sky. I don't want to quarrel with you. The state preceptor picked up the teacup. Yi Qing, see the guest out. Yi Qing pushed the door and entered. The only person in the whole Great Yen who dared to ask him to leave was the person in front of him. The emperor frowned and said, You tell my divination again. See if there is still the North Star appearing, and the emperor comes out of Shenyuan. The state preceptor said, No. The emperor said coldly, Are you going to defy the decree? The state preceptor said neither humbly nor overbearingly, Revealing the secrets of heaven will shorten my life. I have already lost 10 years of my life. If I calculate again, I am afraid I will lose my life. What's more, the same divination can't be calculated twice. The emperor flicked his sleeves and left. Where is the little princess? The emperor asked the eunuch outside the library. The eunuch said, Your Majesty, the little princess went to the Qilin Hall. Why go to the Qilin Hall again? The emperor frowned impatiently and strode toward the Qilin Hall. Digression. On the last day, the monthly ticket will expire if you don't vote. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more wonderful content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. The novels that can't be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/10674142. HTML Genius remembers the address of this site in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Version Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 747. Please scan the QR code below to download the app for more interesting content. The novel will be updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels will be read for free. All the novels that can't be found on the internet can be found here. Little Jing Kong was playing happily with the little princess when he heard the laughter of the two little kids from afar. The little princess wasn't so childish in the palace. She always put on the airs of an elder and acted like an elder. The two little kids were chasing the fireflies in the courtyard and didn't notice that someone was coming towards them. Zhang Dequan was the first to notice the monarch. He quickly bowed to him. The monarch raised his hand and signaled him to step aside. Zhang Dequan stepped to the side. The two little kids were chasing the fireflies. The little princess was running in front and accidentally bumped into the monarch's thigh. Little Jing Kong didn't stop in time. In order to avoid bumping into the little princess, his little body swayed to the side and bumped into the monarch's other thigh. The monarch had met little Jing Kong twice before. The first time was when little Jing Kong and little princess stood outside the Qilin Hall and sang something like "You love me, I love you," and so on and so forth. Until now, those sweet words were still echoing in the monarch's mind. As for the appearance, the monarch didn't take a closer look. The second time was at noon. The two little kids were sitting in the Qilin Hall. Their faces were dirty and he couldn't see their faces clearly. Now that little Jing Kong was in front of him, he finally had the chance to look at his young and tender face. There was no doubt that he was good-looking. Little Jing Kong's excellent appearance didn't diminish because of his tan. Whether it was his fair and tender appearance in the Zhaogua Kingdom or his current tanned appearance, he was extremely cute. But there was a trace of heroic spirit in his delicate eyes. More importantly, there was no trace of fear in his eyes when facing the monarch of the Yen dynasty. When this child grows up in the future, he would definitely be extraordinary. Uncle. The little princess hugged the monarch's thigh. Little Jing Kong responded with an "oh" and took a step back. He politely greeted the monarch, "Uncle Light Shui, how are you?" The monarch's gaze fell on little Jing Kong's face. As he looked, he couldn't help but frown. It was a very strange feeling, and even he couldn't tell what it was. "Your Majesty." Xiao Hang walked over from the other side of the old locust tree. "Qing." His Majesty shifted his gaze away from little Jing Kong's face and looked at Xiao Hang. "Did they disturb your rest?" Xiao Hang was now setting up a weak and sickly persona. He would pass away in half a year. He adjusted his breathing and said weakly, "No, it's too hot. I can't sleep." The monarch looked at him and said, "If you feel uncomfortable, ask the imperial advisor to get you some medicine." Xiao Heng smiled bitterly. "Don't waste the herbs." For a dying person, taking medicine was just a psychological comfort. Xiao, black-bellied, Hang had a good grasp of his character setting. The king's gaze was still unconsciously attracted to little Jing Kong. He frowned. "This child," Xiao Heng said. "Dr. Xiao said that he had just come back from the forest. It's best to observe him in the imperial advisor's palace for a day or two. After making sure that his body and mind are fine, we'll send him back. I've already sent someone to inform his family." After all, he was the child who risked everything to save Shangguan Shui. It was reasonable for him to rest in the imperial advisor's palace for a few days. The monarch looked deeply at little Jing Kong and didn't say anything more. "Light Shui, we should go back to the palace." The young princess reluctantly waved goodbye to them. "Goodbye, Jing Kong. Goodbye, teacher. Goodbye, little nephew. Goodbye, cousin." Shangguan Yen waved at her from behind the window. The monarch looked at Shangguan Yen and frowned. In the end, he didn't say a word. After getting on the carriage, the young princess happily played with the light-colored glass bottle in her hand. The glass was translucent. There were fireflies caught by little Jing Kong inside. They were flashing like stars in the sky. But the monarch thought of that child. A 5-year-old child actually dared to bite a human trafficker in the middle of the street, and calmly brought little Snow out of the place where they were locked up. He even found a hiding place and hid for an entire afternoon. He was hungry and gave all his food to Light Shui. Brave, witty, calm, kind. All the good qualities in the world seemed to be applied to that child. "Uncle, can I come to Jing Kong again tomorrow?" The young princess interrupted the monarch's thoughts. "You're not afraid?" the monarch asked her. "Afraid of what?" the young princess asked him. The monarch said with a smile, "Didn't you say this afternoon that you won't go out in the future? You're afraid that you'll meet bad people when you go out." "Oh, this, I just told Jing Kong," the young princess said, "but Jing Kong said that we can't. Grandpa Grey Stone." The monarch was confused. "What Grandpa Grey Stone?" The young princess tried to explain. It's, you choked on your food. You can't stop eating because you're afraid of choking in the future. So, I can't stop going out because I'm afraid of meeting bad people. The world is so big, I want to see it. I think you just want to go to the State Preceptor Palace. Also, it's called stopping eating because of choking." The monarch asked, "Did he really say that?" The young princess nodded and said, "Yes." The monarch sneered, "You know a lot." He coaxed her in the afternoon until his throat was dry, but the little girl didn't listen to a word he said. Why? Her little friend said something, and she immediately took it as the truth? Zhang Dequan smiled and said, "He must have a good family education. It's a good thing that the young princess can make such a friend." The monarch said, "Humph." Little Jing Kong slept too much during the day and didn't feel sleepy at night. He sat on the chair and swung his legs in boredom. "Jiao Jiao, I want to eat 1,000-layer pastry, the kind without sugar." 1,000-layer pastry was sweet and salty, but usually, a little lard would be added to enhance the taste. Only an old shop in Daxing Alley had 1,000-layer pastry made with lard. Gu Jiao said, "Okay, I'll buy it for you." Xiao Heng said, "I'll buy it." Little Jing Kong jumped on the ground. "I want to go too." Xiaoheng said, "No, you don't." Little Jing Kong insisted on going with them. Considering that he had just been frightened, it was normal for him to be clingy. Gu Jiao took him with them. Daxing Alley was not far from the State Preceptor Palace. It was windy tonight and the temperature was cool, so the family decided to walk. Gu Jiao held little Jing Kong in the middle. Little Jing Kong jumped up and down excitedly. The inner city of Chengdu was very busy when there was no curfew. It was late now, but the streets were still crowded with pedestrians. Wow! It's so beautiful. Their lanterns are made of gold. Can I go and have a look? No. That's a brothel. Wow! It's so lively. So many people. Can I go in and have a look? That's a gambling den. Then what about this? That's a funeral clothes shop. There are so many children there. I want to go too. That's a place where the poor send their children to the palace to be eunuchs. What's wrong with you, kid? Xiaoheng decisively carried the little guy on his shoulder. Little Jing Kong struggled. Put me down. Put me down. Xiaoheng said, no. Little Jing Kong's face turned red. I want to pee. I can't hold it in anymore. Xiaoheng was speechless. Children's pee really came at a whim. Xiaoheng's body shook. Don't pee on me. Then he said to Gu Jiao, I'll take him to the toilet. Then I'll line up. The shop is in the alley ahead. Gu Jiao pointed to the direction for Xiaoheng. Xiaoheng said, okay, I'll find you later. Gu Jiao went to line up in the alley ahead. The business of this dessert shop was very good, and the line was very long. Gu Jiao stood at the end, and the line almost extended to the alley across the street. While she was waiting, she suddenly felt a strong aura flashing over her head. It was so fast that the people around her didn't notice it at all. Gu Jiao didn't take it seriously at first, but the next second, another strong aura flashed over her head. These two people's auras were comparable to Qi Xian's, and seemed to be even stronger. The two people fought in another alley nearby. Gu Jiao could clearly feel the collision of their internal forces. She decided to take a look. It was an alley that sold coffin shops and shrouds. The shops had long been closed, and only the signboards of the shroud shop and the coffin shop fluttered silently in the night wind. Under the moonlight, there was a gloomy and eerie atmosphere. Gu Jiao stood outside the alley and blocked the view with her body. She only stuck her head out to take a peek. It was a Buddhist disciple and a Taoist disciple who were fighting. The Buddhist disciple tapped his toes and somersaulted in the air, landing on the roof at the side, facing Gu Jiao's direction. Gu Jiao took a closer look. Huh? A handsome monk. At this moment, the Taoist disciple jumped and hit him with his palm. He turned around and calmly retreated half a foot in Gu Jiao's direction. This time, the Taoist disciple's face was also revealed. Gu Jiao was even more surprised. Taoist Qing Feng? Why were these two people fighting? Was Taoist Qing Feng the Taoist disciple who chased after the handsome monk last time? A handsome monk and a Taoist priest. This was what it meant to be a fight between immortals. It's so eye-catching. Gu Jiao's eyes were wide open. Taoist priest, be reasonable. If I hadn't brought you out of the forest, you might have been trapped there for a year or so. Why don't we write off the grudge between us? In your dreams. Taoist Qing Feng hit the monk's chest with his palm in the air. His robe fluttered in the night wind. His eyes were like jade, but his eyes were full of murderous intent. The monk's figure flashed and dodged his attack. There weren't many people in the world who could avoid Taoist Qing Feng's palm. Under the moonlight, the monk was as beautiful as a demon god. He smiled and caught a falling leaf with his fingertips. He sighed and said, Alas, I just peeked at you taking a bath once. Why did you hold a grudge for so many years? Taoist Qing Feng's handsome face flashed with anger, and he unleashed a killing move. Die. The monk sneered and waved his arm. The leaf on his fingertips turned into a knife and shot toward Taoist Qing Feng's eyebrows. This was also a killing move. Are you done peeing? Xiao Hang looked at little Jing Kong, who came out of the toilet. Go wash your hands. Little Jing Kong came to the well to wash his hands with a sulky face. Xiao Hang looked at him with amusement. Who are you trying to show your sulky face to? Little Jing Kong snorted. The bad brother-in-law who won't let me eat candy. Xiao Hang raised his eyebrows. Jiao Jiao won't let you eat candy. Little Jing Kong put his hands on his hips and stomped his feet. That's because you told Jiao Jiao that my teeth are broken. Xiao Hang said innocently, your teeth are broken. Little Jing Kong crossed his arms and turned his face away. Humph. This was a shop that sold dried meat. Xiao Hang bought some dried meat for Gu Jiao on the way. Then Xiao Hang took little Jing Kong to the shop that sold 1,000-layer pastry. There were many people in the queue. Xiao Hang looked from the front of the line to the end of the line, but he still couldn't find Gu Jiao. Little Jing Kong asked seriously, did you remember wrongly? Jiao Jiao didn't come here to buy 1,000-layer pastry? Xiao Hang held a bag of dried meat in one hand and little Jing Kong in the other. He said, it's here. I didn't remember wrongly. Little Jing Kong thought for a while. Did Jiao Jiao also go to the toilet? I want to find Jiao Jiao. Xiao Hang said, don't run around. Just wait here. Little Jing Kong refused to cooperate. I don't want to. I want to find Jiao Jiao. If you don't let me find Jiao Jiao, I'll cry. I'll say that you're a human trafficker. He was not afraid of children arguing with him, but he was afraid of children having IQ. This was the little guy's last stubbornness. Who asked him to lose his candy? Xiao Hang was angry and amused. Okay, I'll take you to find Jiao Jiao. They went around and came back. Xiao Hang held little Jing Kong's hand and walked in a random direction. Gu Jiao went out from the end of the alley, while they went out from the front. In the creepy alley, Taoist Qing Feng and the monk had fought for more than 10 rounds. Gu Jiao hated that she did not have a bag of dried meat with her. She felt sorry for the fierce fighting scene. Although the two were fighting fiercely, their moves were only aimed at each other. They did not destroy a house, a door, a brick, or a tile. This was the cultivation and realm of a master. Those who blasted holes in other people's houses often did not consider the cost of repairing the houses. I still have something to do. I don't want to fight with you anymore. Let's end it. The monk stood on the roof. His inner strength suddenly surged. His gray monk robe fluttered without wind, as if his sea of qi was rolling. Taoist Qing Feng frowned. What a strong murderous aura. The monk flew up with a strong murderous aura. Like a Buddha who had fallen into the devil's path, he suddenly attacked Taoist Qing Feng's vital point. Master! A crisp voice tore through the murderous aura in the alley. The monk's body suddenly stiffened. Digression, in a few hours, it would be reset to 0. Let me remind you one last time. Thank you for your tireless support. I'll add more chapters tomorrow. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel will be updated more quickly. Millions of novels can be read for free. Novels with inner content that can't be found on the internet can be found here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642-826/10673594. HTML Genius remembered the website address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 748. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are available here. The monk had seized the right opportunity to make this move. He had sealed off all of Taoist Ching Feng's escape routes before making this move. It was supposed to be foolproof. But when he heard the word master, all of his true chi was reversed. His body stopped in the air, and he suddenly lost control of his body. He fell from the air and hit the ground with a thud. He fell face first onto the ground. "Brat, do you have to trick me like this?" His posture was unsightly, so he quickly got up. But just as he propped himself up with his arms, Taoist Ching Feng punched him hard in the face. He was sent flying on the spot. "Brat, you really tricked me." But it was good that he was sent flying. He could take the opportunity to slip away. The monk didn't come back to fight with Taoist Ching Feng. Instead, he leaped onto a nearby roof and disappeared into the boundless night. The monk used his Qing Gong to the extreme as if he was in a rush to reincarnate, leaving the eerie and strange alley far behind him. He wanted to run 800 miles in one breath and finally stopped at a deserted street corner. He had never been so tired even when fighting a war. Huff, huff, huff. He leaned against the wall with one arm, supporting his body slightly, and grabbed his clothes with the other hand, fanning himself. "I finally got rid of him. This little demon is too scary." He leaned against the wall, closed his eyes and breathed heavily. Suddenly, a long shadow pulled by the moonlight quietly approached, eerily projecting at his feet. The owner of the shadow raised the devil's hand. A sense of vigilance rose from the bottom of his heart, and he quickly turned around. "Huh? No one? Master!" The little demon jumped out from behind him. His body stiffened again. The little demon walked in front of him, raised his little head, and said cutely, "Master, it's really you." The monk wanted to cry but had no tears. "Why can't I get rid of you after running so far? How did you catch up?" There was a shortcut in this world. The monk looked at the innocent little Jing Kong and then looked at Gu Jiao, who was rubbing her chin and looking at him in deep thought. Suddenly, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Little Jing Kong said excitedly, "Master, master, master. Why did you come to Shangdu? Are you here for me? Have you read the letter I wrote to you? Why don't you reply to my letters? Has the abbot returned to the temple? How are Jing Fan, Jing Shan, and Jing Xin? Senior brothers, did you miss me?" Little Jing Kong blasted, turning into a little loudspeaker spirit in a second. To tell a joke, all the monks in the temple would not be able to recite scriptures better than him. The monk had a look of despair on his face. "If you want me to answer, at least let me interrupt first. Master, master, let me introduce you to Jiao Jiao." Little Jing Kong could not wait to introduce his master to Jiao Jiao. Gu Jiao walked over and stood beside the two of them. She tilted her head and looked at the beautiful monk. She narrowed her eyes and said, "So you're the old man with the white beard?" The monk was confused. "What old man with the white beard?" Gu Jiao looked at the little guy beside her. "Jing Kong, didn't you say that your master is an old man?" Little Jing Kong said seriously, "Yes. I'm a little guy, but isn't my master an old man? He said it himself. If you don't do it, do you want me to do it?" Little Jing Kong imitated him perfectly. The monk who always found all kinds of excuses to order his disciples to do this and that in order to slack off was speechless. Ahem. He cleared his throat and made a Buddhist salute with one hand. "Amitba, my Buddhist name is Liaochen." Gu Jiao chuckled. On the other side, Xiao Hang met Taoist Ching Feng. He recognized that this was the young Taoist who saved him on the street last time. However, Xiao Hang did not know his true identity because there was no portrait of Taoist Ching Feng in the library of the State Preceptor Palace. Xiao Hang greeted him. "Taoist." Taoist Ching Feng looked at Xiao Hang and nodded slightly. Then he turned and walked away. Xiao Hang was speechless. Xiao Hang looked at Taoist Ching Feng's back and said thoughtfully, "It seems that he doesn't remember me. He did a good deed and never took it to heart. What a virtuous Taoist." Xiao Hang waited for a while at the entrance of the alley. Gu Jiao led little Jing Kong to him. Little Jing Kong was jumping up and down even more happily than when he came out. Behind them was the young monk who fought with the young Taoist just now. He was wearing a grey monk's robe. He was tall and handsome and held a string of Buddha beads in his right hand. At this moment, he looked like a merciful monk. When he fought with Taoist Qing Feng just now, he looked like a murderous demon. The three of them stopped in front of Xiao Heng. Gu Jiao said to little Jing Kong, "Introduce him to your brother-in-law." Little Jing Kong nodded. He came between Xiao Heng and Liao Chen and stretched out his gentlemanly hand. "Brother-in-law, this is my master, Liao Chen. Master, this is my brother-in-law, Xiao Heng." Gu Jiao agreed to introduce Xiao Heng's true identity. Gu Jiao used her original voice to talk to Liao Chen just now. Now that there were many people on the street, she changed her voice to that of a teenager. Xiao Heng was mentally prepared. He greeted politely, "Master Liao Chen." Liao Chen made a proper Buddhist salute. "Benefactor Xiao." The intersection was not a good place to talk. Coincidentally, there was a stall selling dumplings nearby. Little Jing Kong looked at the stall and drooled. They decided to go and have a seat. "A bowl of dumpling wrappers," Gu Jiao said to the stall owner. The stall owner was stunned. This was the first time he met someone who wanted to eat dumpling wrappers. Gu Jiao said, "Use water." The stall owner said, "Okay." Gu Jiao and Xiao Heng were not hungry. Gu Jiao looked at Liao Chen. "Master Liao Chen, what kind of filling do you want to eat?" Xiao Heng looked at Gu Jiao strangely. No matter what kind of filling a dumpling, there was meat in it. It was not a glutinous rice ball. Liao Chen chuckled. "Cabbage and pork filling." Gu Jiao said to the stall owner, "A bowl of cabbage and pork dumplings, a big bowl." The stall owner looked at the monk in front of him and was even more confused. They sat down at a small square table. Little Jing Kong wanted to sit next to Gu Jiao, so the two of them sat on one side. Xiao Heng and Liao Chen each sat on one side, facing each other. The stall owner boiled a bowl of dumpling wrappers with water and brought it over. Gu Jiao dripped more than half of the soup, leaving less than a third. She mixed it with vegetable oil, vinegar, and some pickles and handed it to little Jing Kong. Little Jing Kong ate heartily. Liao Chen smiled and said, "Benefactor Gu, you take good care of Jing Kong." It was the kind of kindness that came from the heart. No wonder he did not return the little guy. Gu Jiao said lightly, "It's okay." Xiao Heng looked at Gu Jiao strangely. Did this monk offend Jiao Jiao? Xiao Heng thought carefully. Jiao Jiao was willing to let Jing Kong introduce their real identities, which meant that they were on the same side. Maybe they had offended Jiao Jiao in some small way. Xiao Heng continued politely, "By the way, Master Liao Chen, do you have any grudges or misunderstandings with the Taoists just now?" Liao Chen narrowed his eyes and smiled. "You mean Qing Feng?" Qing Feng. Xiao Heng felt that this name was familiar. Gu Jiao said, "He is Taoist Qing Feng of the Feng family, Feng Wuxiu's brother." With that said, Xiao Heng had an impression. It's that 26-year-old martial arts prodigy, the young expert who defeated Han Yi. Han Yi was known as the best master among his peers, but that was only because Taoist Qing Feng did not leave the mountain. Plus, the Han family was used to bragging, so even Han Yi himself believed it. He really thought he was the best. Gu Jiao nodded. "Yes, that's him." "Why do you seem to care about him?" With Xiao Heng's temperament, he would not care about the personal affairs of someone he met for the first time, even if one of them was a master from Jing Kong. Xiao Heng said, "We met once. Once, I fell down on the street and almost got hit by a carriage. It was that Taoist who saved me." "Really?" Gu Jiao looked at Xiao Heng. She had never heard Xiao Heng mention this before. Xiao Heng nodded to Gu Jiao. "He didn't leave his name and I didn't have anything to do, so I didn't mention it. I just went to say hello to him, but he didn't seem to remember me. Maybe he forgot." Liao Chen laughed out loud. "What are you laughing at?" Gu Jiao asked curiously. "He didn't forget your husband, he didn't remember him at all." Liao Chen smiled gently, his charming peach blossom eyes curving into beautiful arcs. "That Taoist. He's face blind." Brother! Around the corner, Feng Wuxiu, who had been waiting for a long time, finally saw his brother. He hurried forward and asked his brother, "Brother, was that man the stinky monk from back then?" "Yes, it was him," Taoist Qing Feng said. Feng Wuxiu said angrily, "That guy still dares to come to Shang City. Isn't he afraid that the Feng family will tear him apart?" Taoist Qing Feng did not speak. Thinking of something, Feng Wuxiu asked again, "Brother, did you get the thing back?" "The thing?" Gu Jiao looked at Liaochen. "Are you saying that you stole something from Taoist Qing Feng?" "First of all, I didn't steal anything from him." Liaochen spread his hands. "It's not his." Xiao Heng, Gu Jiao, Liaochen sighed. "All right, since you want to know, I'll tell you. Master, here are your dumplings." The owner brought a bowl of steaming dumplings over and placed it on the table. Liaochen picked up his chopsticks and put one into his mouth. He smiled with satisfaction. "It tastes good. It's nothing special. It's just a book. The Letter of Credence of the Yen Kingdom." It all started a few years ago when Taoist Qing Feng went to the Grand Preceptor Hall to borrow a book. Before Taoist Qing Feng became a monk, he was a student of Canaan Academy. Because of his outstanding talent in martial arts and spells, he attracted the attention of the Grand Preceptor. But because the Grand Preceptor Hall never accepted disciples from aristocratic families, they did not become master and disciple. Later, Taoist Qing Feng became a Taoist priest. The Grand Preceptor still liked him very much and even made an exception to lend him one of the letters of credence of the Yen Kingdom. He was carrying the letter when Liaochen bumped into him. While he was bathing in the stream at the foot of the mountain, Liaochen secretly took the letter. It would have been fine if he had just stolen something, but to prevent Taoist Qing Feng from catching up, Liaochen even took away his clothes. Without his clothes, Taoist Qing Feng could only sit in the water and wait. When night fell, not a single disciple passed by. That was not strange. Taoist Qing Feng was relieved to change and bathe because he knew there would not be any disciples or villagers here. Taoist Qing Feng could not stay in the water like a fish for the rest of his life. He had no choice but to go up the mountain in a relaxed manner. His lightness skill was good. As long as he flew fast enough, no one could see him. The Taoist temple had strict rules. They rose at 5 o'clock and rested at 7 o'clock. To be safe, he entered the Taoist temple after 7 o'clock. Everything went smoothly. There was no one in the courtyard or on the path. However, Taoist Qing Feng forgot that it was his birthday that day. In fact, no one in the Taoist temple slept. They knew that senior brother Qing Feng was coming back today, so they all went to Qing Feng's yard and decided to give him a surprise when he came back. They wanted him to feel the warmth and care of his fellow disciples. So, when Taoist Qing Feng passed all the checkpoints and finally flew back to his courtyard, the disciples who had been waiting for a long time lit up the fireworks in the open space. With a loud bang, the fiery trees and silver flowers danced in the nightless sky in the cool breeze. The disciples in the Taoist temple all witnessed the celestial light reward. Taoist Qing Feng turned around and left. No one saw his handsome face covered by his long hair. But everyone knew that it was embarrassing. However, although the height resembled, the figure resembled, the length of the hair, the aura, the lightness skill that flew over their heads, resembled. Everything resembled. But even if his toes were exactly the same, he could not be the purest and most flawless Taoist Qing Feng of the Baiyun Temple. It must be some shameless pervert who deliberately blasphemed their Taoist Qing Feng. They were very angry. The consequences were very serious. So, the Baiyun Temple posted a wanted poster with a high reward on the Jianghu website. The kind with a picture. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet here. https://www.zhhbqg com/89642_896422826/10672068 HTML Genius. Remember the website address in 1 second. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 749. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are available here. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and looked at Liao Chen. I don't believe that you just stole a book. You must have done something else to make them remember you and come all the way to kill you. Liao Chen put his palms together. Amitabha, monks don't lie. Gu Jiao looked at his empty bowl. There was not a single dumpling left with cabbage and meat fillings. Even the dumpling soup was gone. Gu Jiao thought, are you a monk? Master. Where do you live? Little Jing Kong asked. Master. Liao Chen paused and smiled. I have a place to live. You don't have to worry about me. Oh. Little Jing Kong said, no, I just want to ask where you live. If I want to see you, I'll go to you. Liao Chen smiled. No, I'll come to you. Little Jing Kong tilted his head and looked at him. So, will you stay in Shangdu for a long time this time? I'm going to school in Shangdu, and I don't know how long it will take. At the mention of this, Xiao Hang remembered that Liao Chen asked the abbot to bring their admission documents. Who was he? How did he get so many admission documents from the Yen Kingdom? Was he from the Yen Kingdom? If so, why did he become a monk in the Zhao Kingdom? Little Jing Kong was present, and the adults were very restrained. They didn't ask anything that they shouldn't ask, and they just silently complained in their hearts. Little Jing Kong finished his food. He picked up the small bowl and drank the soup. Not a drop was left. No way, you ate it so cleanly? Liao Chen was shocked. He looked rounder than when he was in the temple. It didn't look like he wasn't fed well. Little Jing Kong put down the bowl and said to Liao Chen seriously, every grain is hard work. Jiao Jiao said that we can't waste food. Liao Chen curled his lips. After all, she was 2 years older and didn't want to be a cullender anymore. In the past, when he was in the temple, he would eat all the way and spill all over the table. Little Jing Kong was sweating profusely. Gu Jiao took out a handkerchief to wipe his sweat and asked, are you full? Little Jing Kong rolled his eyes and pointed at his little fingers. Jiao Jiao, can I have another box of 1,000-layer pastry? No. Gu Jiao refused immediately. You'll get indigestion if you eat too much at night. This bowl of dumpling wrappers was given to him because he had exhausted his energy from playing with the young princess. Liao Chen looked at his little disciple with interest. Little disciple, quickly recite the scriptures, quickly reason with them, quickly use your 3-inch tongue to make your opponent dizzy. Can't you talk from dawn to dusk? Little Jing Kong nodded cutely. Okay, Jiao Jiao. Then I'll eat it tomorrow. Liao Chen. Why can't you be so obedient under my name? Gu Jiao touched his round belly. She wanted to see if he could eat a small piece, but she decided against it. He was already a little watermelon. They sat at the stall for a while, then got up to walk on the street to help little Jing Kong digest his food. Gu Jiao held little Jing Kong's hand and walked in front. Xiao Hang and Liao Chen followed behind. Little Jing Kong was still the most clingy to Gu Jiao, but Liao Chen's arrival made him feel happy. Liao Chen suddenly said, it's getting late, you should go back. Little Jing Kong stopped and looked back at him. But master, you haven't asked me where I live. Liao Chen smiled gently. Ah, really? Where do you live? Little Jing Kong said, I live in the State Preceptor Palace now. I may go back to the academy in a few days. My classes are in the prodigy class of Lingbo Academy, and I eat and sleep in the Linglong Pavilion of Kanglan Women's Academy next door. He explained in detail, as if he was worried that his master would not be able to find him. Liao Chen smiled. Okay, I'll remember it. Liao Chen said goodbye to the three of them, then turned and walked into the alley opposite. Xiao Heng said, "Let's go back too." Gu Jiao nodded and looked at little Jing Kong, who was yawning. "Can you still walk? Let me carry you." Little Jing Kong touched his round belly, and his eyes flashed with a little hesitation. Finally, he turned around and stretched out his little arms to Xiao Heng. "Brother-in-law, carry me." He had eaten a lot and was already a little chubby boy. He must not tire himself out and Jiao. Xiao Heng was annoyed and amused at the same time. He carried him with one hand and held Gu Jiao's hand with the other as they walked back to the State Preceptor Palace. "You're so heavy. You should change your name to Little Steel Weight." "No way. You're the one who's weak. You're blaming me for not being able to carry you. Are you an adult or not?" "If I'm an adult, then do you admit that you're a child?" "No, I'm an adult. You're an old man. Then you should carry me." In the alley, Liao Chen did not go far. He stood quietly in the dark, looking at the backs of the three people and listening to the bickering of the father and son. "Did you see that?" Jing Kong was very happy. He had a complete family. The moon was beautiful tonight. The half-moon hung high above the Milky Way. Liao Chen left the noisy market and came to a quiet long street. In sharp contrast to the bustling streets of Shang City, this place was particularly desolate. This was a place that even the night watchman did not want to come to. It was like a path in the underworld, full of ghosts and vengeful spirits. Liao Chen came to a sealed mansion. He stared at it for a long time, then walked up the stairs to the door. The seal had long been broken, and the iron lock was rusty. There were also bloodstains on the door. Liao Chen frowned. He looked up at the cracked plaque covered in cobwebs. His fingertips moved as if he wanted to take it down and wipe it clean, but he resisted. He went around to the side of the mansion and used his lightness skill to easily cross the weeds growing in the cracks of the courtyard wall. He landed on a piece of slippery moss. But he did not fall. He walked unhurriedly over the moss. The yard was full of weeds as tall as a person. Even the cracks in the tiles were cracked by the weeds. The corridors on three sides were all blocked by the weeds. The only thing that was not attacked by the weeds was a large round white marble table under Liao Chen's feet. But it was also covered with a thick layer of dust. Every step Liao Chen took left his footprints in the dust. It was too quiet. It was so quiet that it made people sad. Liao Chen took a few steps and stopped in the middle of the round table. He looked straight ahead, empty and unfocused. "Come out," he said. A small figure jumped down from the east wall. "When did you find out?" Gu Jiao came up behind him. "I was very careful." "Huh?" Liao Chen did not turn his head. He looked at the vast galaxy and said indifferently, "Do you have something to ask me?" Gu Jiao patted the dust off his body and spat out the weeds in his mouth. "Did you know who I was a long time ago?" he asked. Liao Chen said, "How long do you mean?" Gu Jiao thought for a moment and said, "Last time on Mount Guan, you must have recognized me a long time ago. But I don't know if you purposely fell into a trap the first time in the countryside and waited for me to save you." Liao Chen said indifferently, "Falling into the trap was an accident. Pretending not to know you was intentional. You adopted my apprentice. I had to see what kind of family adopted him. I went to your village and saw your family. That's all." Gu Jiao walked to his side and turned his head to look him up and down. His mood now was not the same as before. His peach blossom eyes were no longer evil, and the indecent smile on his lips was also gone. His entire person was shrouded in an invisible aura. Gu Jiao pulled back his gaze and looked in the same direction as him, the vast expanse of the starry sky. "Fine, I'll believe you for now. But why did you pretend not to know me?" Gu Jiao asked. "Wasn't it because I was afraid that you would occasionally bring back little troublemakers to show your filial piety to me?" Liao Chen said seriously, "I'm not used to interacting with people. I'm more comfortable with strangers. Otherwise, I'd be annoyed if you secular people kept interacting with me. That's a barely acceptable reason. Mainly because Gu Jiao didn't think this question was very important, so Gu Jiao didn't care whether he lied or not. But Gu Jiao needed him to answer the next question honestly. Gu Jiao turned his head to look at him. Do you know where this place is? The training field, Liao Chen said. As soon as he finished speaking, he realized that Gu Jiao wasn't asking about the empty space under their feet, but the entire mansion. Gu Jiao turned around and stared at his profile. You even know that this is the Shen Yuan family's training field. What is your relationship with the Shen Yuan family? Don't say that you don't know. The spear technique you taught me is the 7 styles of Shen Yuan. I already know. Liao Chen looked at the half moon and clenched his fingers. He didn't speak. Gu Jiao said, It's fine if you don't want to answer this question. After all, you're not related to me. You don't have to tell me anything about yourself. Then let me change the question. Her expression became serious. She asked in a tone that brooked no refusal, Is Jing Kong related to the Shen Yuan family? Digression, there's still one more chapter. Squatting a wave of guaranteed monthly votes. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_826/1067166554. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 750. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found on the internet are available here. Gu Jiao's question was not without reason. She had thought it through on the way here. Before Gu Yan was injured by Nangong Li, the admission papers had been sent to little Jing Kong. In other words, Liao Chen did not know that Gu Yan would be in trouble. He only hoped that they could come to the Yan kingdom to study. Or more precisely, they accompanied little Jing Kong to study in Shangdu. Little Jing Kong was the most clingy to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao was arranged to study in the Kanglan Women's Academy. This way, they would not have to be separated. Although Tianqiong Academy was in the outer city, it was the academy with the simplest background. Except for Mu Qingchen and Mu Chuan, no one from the 11 aristocratic families came to study. And Mu Qingchen had not come for a long time. Their classes were separated from Mu Chuan's. This greatly reduced their chances of meeting the aristocratic families. It could be said that all the arrangements were meticulous and perfect. Was he sending little Jing Kong to study or bringing little Jing Kong home? Liao Chen retracted his gaze and turned around. His gaze fell on Gu Jiao's childish but heroic face. Before I answer your question, I also have a question to ask. Gu Jiao said, I asked first. Liao Chen said, I know, so you don't have to answer me. Gu Jiao looked at him. He said solemnly, Can the current you really bear the whole truth? If you can't, then it's better for you not to know. In the latter half of the night, it was drizzling in Shangdu when Gu Jiao returned to the State Preceptor Hall. There was a thin layer of water on her clothes. Xiao Hang was waiting for her in the room. When he saw her come in, he quickly took a towel to wipe the water on her face and head. Gu Jiao said, It's fine, just a light drizzle. It stopped before it started raining. Is Jing Kong asleep? Xiao Hang looked at the little fellow behind the curtain. She fell asleep before we reached the State Preceptor Hall. How's your situation? Gu Jiao came to the bedside and looked at the little fellow. She said, He went to the Shenyuan family and is very familiar with that place. Xiao Hang said thoughtfully, "Is he related to the Shenyuan family?" "I'm pretty sure." Gu Jiao told Xiao Hang about her 2 encounters with Liaochen. Xiao Hang fell silent. When Liaochen was eating dumplings, he already felt that Liaochen was very strange. He didn't expect Liaochen's martial arts to be so strong. He didn't show any mercy when he killed people. This didn't seem like something a merciful monk would do. On top of that, he also knew the Shenyuan family's spear techniques. "What about Jing Kong?" Xiao Heng asked. Gu Jiao said, "I also asked Jing Kong. He said that if I can't bear the truth, it's better not to know." Of course, she didn't mean that she could bear the shock psychologically. If little Jing Kong was really related to the Shenyuan family, with their current strength, it was very likely that they couldn't protect little Jing Kong. So it was better not to know and not to worry about it. On the long street, 2 figures were moving forward quickly. "Master! Master, please slow down. Where's that stinky monk? How did we lose him in the blink of an eye?" Master Ming Yu stopped and looked at the empty street in front of him. He said unhappily, "Where did you see him go just now?" The guard in gray scratched his head. "I think he went in this direction." "We didn't go in the wrong direction." Master Ming Yu said angrily, "If we didn't go in the wrong direction, how could he disappear? Did he disappear into thin air? Is he a ghost?" The guard in gray shrunk his neck and whispered, "Master, don't talk about people in the day and ghosts at night. You'll run into ghosts." Master Ming Yu said coldly, "Don't talk about strange things." Meow. A wild cat's meow came from the roof beside them. The 2 of them shuddered at the same time. The guard grabbed Master Ming Yu's arm in fear and said in a trembling voice, "Master, this place is too eerie. It's obvious that no one has lived here for many years. It's a haunted house, and it's the kind where vengeful spirits linger. Let's go." Master Ming Yu said sternly, "What vengeful spirits linger? Do you think I'm afraid of that?" The guard in gray lowered his voice as if he was afraid that a ghost would hear him. He said fearfully, "This is the old site of the Shenyuan family. The whole street used to belong to them. I heard that on the day they were executed, this street was covered in blood. The resentment was so strong that even the crows didn't dare to come close. I also heard that those who came to this street in recent years were all possessed. Even the night watchman took a detour." Master Ming Yu felt a chill down his spine. "Wow, don't listen to hearsay." He subconsciously took a step back. The gray-robed guard curled his lips and said, "If young master insists on looking, then I can only sacrifice my life to accompany you. Tell me, where should we start looking? The Shenyuan family's mansion is right in front of us. If not, we'll go there. Do you think we should climb over the wall or break in?" Master Ming Yu's throat moved. He said seriously, "The dead. The dead are the most important. What do you mean by climbing over the wall or breaking in? Let's go." After saying that, young Master Ming Yu turned around and walked back with quick steps. His pace was so fast that it was as if there was a ghost chasing after him. In the rearguard commandery, Wang Su hadn't been home for a few days. The main reason was that he had to deal with one thing after another. He had just finished dealing with the dethroned princess and the young princess. Now, he had to deal with a tough nut to crack, Old Master Mu. Although Old Master Mu was a civil official, his stubbornness was even worse than a general. Wang Su couldn't really torture him. After all, he was old, and he was afraid that he would die if he was beaten. Old Master Mu couldn't deal with the state preceptor, but couldn't he deal with Wang Su? No matter how Wang Su interrogated him, he wouldn't say anything. "It wasn't the Mu family. I don't know who bribed the Mu family to frame us." No matter how he asked, it was the same question. It was already dawn. Wang Su felt a headache coming on. "Commandant Guan, His Highness Zhong's son is here." Outside the watchroom, a guard reported. Wang Su hurriedly stood up, tidied up his clothes, and went to the commandant of the left's mansion to greet Xiao Hang. "Greetings to His Highness Zhong's son." Xiao Hang politely raised his hand. You don't have to be so polite, Lord Wang. Didn't you rest last night? Ah, yes, I'm investigating a case. Wang Su said, His Highness Zhongsun, please come inside. He knew how to behave. Xiao Heng followed him to his watchroom and sat on the main seat. A servant served tea. Wang Su asked, May I know why His Highness Zhongsun suddenly visited the commandant of the left's mansion? Xiao Heng looked at Wang Su and said, I'm here for you. Lord Xiao is busy taking care of my mother, so I have to ask you how your injury is. Wang Su, who was suddenly cared for, was moved. He cupped his hands and saluted. I'm fine. Come to the state preceptor's palace in 3 days to remove the stitches. Xiao Heng said. Yes. Wang Su responded respectfully. Xiao Heng asked curiously, Lord Wang's brows are furrowed. Is the progress of the case not going well? Well. Wang Su couldn't casually mention the details of the case to outsiders. Xiao Heng smiled. Lord Wang has taught me martial arts for several years. Although I haven't learned a single move, this is my personal problem. It has nothing to do with Lord Wang. For the sake of our friendship, I'll give Lord Wang some advice. Wang Su pricked up his ears. Xiao Heng said faintly, His Majesty already knows the result. He only wants the details of the process. Lord Wang can fill it in. There's no need to be too serious. Wang Su frowned suspiciously. Does His Highness Zhongsun mean? Xiao Heng picked up his teacup. Does your Wang family have spies in the Mu family? Can't you just find one to testify against the Mu family? Wang Su's expression changed. Isn't this making a false testimony? So there really were spies. Xiao Heng said calmly, This isn't a false testimony. This is a reasonable exercise of power. I take the Emperor's salary and bear the Emperor's worries. I will follow His Majesty's wishes. In June, there was no shortage of conversations before and after tea in Shangdu. First, the deposed crown princess and the emperor's grandson returned to the capital one after another. Then, the Mu and Han families met with trouble one after another. Consort Wan being banished to the cold palace was a small matter. The Mu family's commander's seal was gone. It was said that the Mu family took the initiative to hand it over. No one knew what was wrong with the Mu family. They had worked so hard to get the commander's seal, so why did they hand it over just like that? The second master of the Mu family, Mu Hong, was involved in a bribery case. The amount of money involved was huge, causing the national treasury to suffer heavy losses. He was removed from his position and exiled. The Han family wasn't any better. Zhang Feng and the others, who were promoted by Heir Han, failed to protect the young princess and caused her to be kidnapped. Zhang Feng and the others were severely punished. Heir Han was also removed from his position as the deputy commander of the Imperial Guards. What was worse was that it was unknown who had informed the monarch that Han Shizi's legs were crippled. The emperor sent Zhang Dequan and the imperial physician to check on him. They found that Han Ye's hamstrings had been cut off and there was no possibility of recovery. In the throne room, the emperor said sternly, Since Heir Han can no longer command the Black Wind Cavalry, the Black Wind Cavalry should choose a new leader. Elder Yang held the ceremonial tablet and asked, Still choose from the Han family? Wasn't this nonsense? Since the Black Wind Cavalry was given to the Han family, it should be inherited by the Han family. However, the Han family had been in trouble one after another. The emperor was already disappointed in the Han family. The emperor thought for a moment and said seriously, The Han family's disciples are the first choice. However, if there is someone who wins, he can also become the new commander of the Black Wind Cavalry. When this news came out, the aristocratic families were excited. The Black Wind Cavalry was the strongest cavalry in the 6 countries. They were definitely going to be the new commander. Digression: the recovery of military power will start with the Black Wind Cavalry. Thanks for everyone's monthly votes. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg.com/89642_896428268 HTML Genius memorized the website's address www.zhhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website zhhbqg.com. Chapter 751. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet here. At night, the state preceptor's hall gradually lit up. Little Jing Kong went to play cards with Shangguan Yen. He was bored, and so was Shangguan Yen. So, he taught Shangguan Yen and 2 other disciples of the state preceptor's hall the card skills he learned from his grandaunt. The 4 of them sat at the table. In Xiao Heng's room, 4 people and a bird gathered. The bird was little Nine, who was responsible for keeping watch. Although no one in the state preceptor's hall was watching them, they still had to be vigilant. Gu Jiao, Xiao Hang, Gu Chongqing, and Gu Chengfeng sat around the table. Gu Chongqing said, "Have you heard about the Mu and Han families?" The 3 of them nodded together. It was hard not to hear about it with such a big movement. What's more, Xiao Hang was now the eldest grandson of the emperor. It was easy for him to inquire about this kind of news. The Mu family handed over the commander's seal to protect old Master Mu. Xiao Heng said, "The consequences of kidnapping a commandery princess are so serious?" Gu Chengfeng was a little speechless. Even when the emperor of Zhao country was hunted down, they didn't make such a big fuss. Gu Chongqing said, "It's not the same. The emperor of Zhao country was a benevolent ruler, while the emperor of Yen kingdom was a tyrant. The 2 men's styles were completely different. Moreover, the emperor of Yen kingdom did this to make an example of them. The 10 great families had been pretending to be peaceful for many years, but a small commandery princess had exposed all kinds of bad characters. If the emperor didn't suppress them with a ruthless move, these people would probably take advantage of him. Anyway, the price of making a demon was not high, so they could take turns to make a demon. Xiao Hang said neither too fast nor too slow, "The Mu family's commander's seal is in the hands of the emperor of Yen kingdom. He won't give it to any family in the short term. He may assign a competent commander other than the 10 great families and the Nangong family." Gu Chongqing nodded in agreement and said, "Let's put the Mu family's military power aside first. The only hope to fight for it is the Black Wind cavalry of the Han family." As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 people all looked at him. He was slightly stunned. "What's wrong? Am I wrong?" Gu Chengfeng asked, "Big brother, did we say that we were going to fight for the Han clan's Black Wind cavalry?" Gu Chongqing asked, "Shouldn't we fight for it?" "Fight for it," Gu Jiao said, her eyes filled with determination. "Why?" Gu Chengfeng looked at her in confusion. Gu Jiao narrowed her eyes and said, "No reason. I just feel that we should fight for it. Otherwise, we might regret it." This was a very strange intuition. Ever since he suspected that Jing Kong was related to the Shenyuan family, his intuition had become stronger. Fighting for it might be dangerous, but not fighting for it would only be more dangerous. Xiao Hang analyzed, other than Han Yi, the Han family also has many outstanding disciples. There are many talented people in the family, so their chances of winning are still very high. Moreover, the rules this time are clearly in favor of the Han family. To become a Black Wind cavalry, one had to go through 3 competitions. 2 of them were related to horsemanship and war horses were the Han family's strengths. Even if the advantage was in the Han family's favor, His Majesty still wanted to win against many of the Han family's disciples. What did many mean? It meant that a narrow victory was not enough, it had to be a complete victory. A victory that everyone was convinced of. A victory that no one could say anything about. He paused and looked at Gu Chongqing. What's the Han family's plan? Gu Chongqing answered, the Han family has chosen 10 disciples. Some are from the main family, and some are from the collateral family. Gu Chengfeng's eyes widened. So many. Isn't it said that each family can only have 2 spots? Xiao Hang said, it should have been inherited by the Han family in the first place. It's already unreasonable to have everyone compete. No matter what, we have to take care of the Han family. Gu Chengfeng pursed his lips. He's a tyrant. Why would he be afraid of others talking about him? He's tyrannizing while setting himself up as a benevolent ruler. Everyone was puzzled by the ruler's actions. Gu Chongqing said, the crown prince gave me a spot to participate as a collateral descendant of the Han family. My mission is to exhaust the opponent and ensure that the Han family advances. Gu Chengfeng snorted. Dream on. Gu Jiao thought for a while and nodded. Yes, this is possible. Gu Chengfeng looked at Gu Jiao. You're going to participate? Gu Jiao, yes. Gu Chengfeng said seriously, then I'll go too. Gu Jiao said lightly, you'd better not. With your mediocre skills, you'll be knocked off the stage in 2 moves. Gu Chengfeng was furious. Who are you looking down on? I'll go, Gu Jiao said. Gu Chongqing glanced at his sister and wanted to say something but stopped. Gu Jiao asked strangely, what's wrong? Gu Chongqing said, have you been in the Yan kingdom for too long and forgotten that you're actually from the Zhao kingdom? The Yan kingdom only allowed its own people to participate in the cavalry selection. Gu Jiao, oh, I really forgot. Purple bamboo forest. A disciple was sweeping the fallen leaves in the front yard of the small bamboo house. Gu Jiao walked over. She looked around the yard for a while and didn't see anything special. She called the disciple, Little Master. The disciple stopped his work and turned around. Seeing that it was Gu Jiao, he greeted politely, Young Master Xiao. You still remember me? Gu Jiao smiled. Is the state preceptor here? The disciple smiled shyly. He just went out. It was strange. It was a man smiling at him. Why was he shy? Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. Oh, when will he be back? The disciple said, it won't be long. The state preceptor didn't let us take away his chessboard. He should come back later. Gu Jiao said, thank you. Then she didn't say anything and waited silently. The disciple swept the fallen leaves and said again, Young Master Xiao, are you waiting here for the state preceptor? Gu Jiao said, yes, I have something to ask him. The disciple said, then please come in and wait. Wait in the room. Gu Jiao walked into the yard and left her shoes on the steps. Wearing white footwear, she stepped on the spotless floor and entered the central room. The disciple invited her to sit on the guest cushion and poured her a cup of herbal tea. Young Master Xiao, please have some tea. Gu Jiao took the cup. Thank you. You don't have to serve me. I'll wait by myself. You can go. Young Master Xiao, please. After that, the disciple opened the curtain and walked out. Gu Jiao touched her chin. He didn't even say anything. Why did he trust her so much? It would be strange if Gu Jiao sat here obediently. It wasn't easy to come to the state preceptor's nest. How could she not pay a deep visit? At present, there was only one disciple in the yard. He was carefully sweeping the yard. He had only swept a small part of the yard and couldn't finish it in a short time. Gu Jiao stood up quietly and walked around the central room. The central room was empty. There was nothing to provide any information. However, there was a small study on the east side. Gu Jiao quietly pushed open the door of the study, and the smell of books assailed her nostrils. The window was open and the light was good. The furnishings were simple. There was only a row of bookshelves, a bookcase, a desk, and a cabinet. Gu Jiao learned the language of the Yan kingdom well. She could read it without any difficulties. However, these were all the Analects of Confucius and the Book of Songs, which gave her a headache. Soon, she was attracted by the toys on the cabinet. Yes, they were toys. There were many wooden knives, wooden swords, small bows and arrows, small meteor hammers, small 9-section whips, and small red tasseled spears. No way. Even the exclusive small weapons she made for little Jing Kong didn't have such a complete set. Was the state preceptor so childlike? Who did he make them for? Not long after, Gu Jiao found a picture album nailed up beside the small weapons. She thought that the state preceptor collected famous paintings and calligraphy. However, when she opened it, she found that it was all children's doodles. What's this? Gu Jiao put down the small book and picked up a picture scroll in another cabinet. She took off the ribbon and spread it out. It was a picture of a baby girl. She was fair and clean. Her facial features were delicate and cute. Gu Jiao admired it for a moment. Oh, it's quite pretty. There were more than 10 picture scrolls in the cabinet. Gu Jiao looked at them all and found that they were the same person. From the baby girl to the girl, Gu Jiao seemed to see this person grow up in front of her. Why do I feel that this little girl is a little familiar? Have I seen her before? The picture ended when she was about 7 or 8 years old. Did the state preceptor have a female disciple? Gu Jiao was very confused. If she was not the state preceptor's disciple, then who was this little girl to the state preceptor? Could it be that the state preceptor secretly had a daughter with her? Otherwise, it was hard to explain why there were so many things here. In addition to the little girl's picture, Gu Jiao also found a picture in the biggest cabinet of the cabinet. It was a picture of a soldier in black armor. He was tall and valiant. He was holding a red tasseled spear in his hand. The facial features of the person in the picture were not filled in. However, Gu Jiao recognized the red tasseled spear. It was Shen Yuan Li's heavenly weapon. So, this person was Shen Yuan Li? There was a line of words below the picture. Remembering an old friend, February 19th of the Bingtian year. The state preceptor and Shen Yuan Li were old friends? In addition, Gu Jiao found another interesting thing, a courtyard made of clay. There were 3 clay figures sitting under the peach tree in the courtyard. They were drinking and drinking. The 3 of them did not make their faces. Their clothes were men's robes that could be seen everywhere on the street. Gu Jiao touched her chin. She thought, one is the state preceptor, one is Shen Yuan Li, and the last one can't be the monarch, right? These 3 people were sworn brothers in the past? State preceptor. A disciple's voice suddenly came from the door. Digression. The double event is still here. Remember to vote. The latest chapter of this book is not finished. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet are all here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1066999713. HTML Genius remembers this site's address in a second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, m. zhbqg.com. Chapter 752. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. The novel is updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are novels with connotations that can't be found on the internet here. Gu Jiao quickly put down the things. When the state preceptor entered the room, she had already calmly sat back on the cushion. She calmly glanced at the state preceptor while tasting the tea. "You're back." Why did he say it as if this was his own home? Gu Jiao smiled. She was not embarrassed, but the others were. The state preceptor sat down opposite Gu Jiao. It was hot outside, and he was sweating. Without waiting for the disciples to pour tea, he poured a cup for himself. "What's the matter?" he asked. "I'm here to talk to you about a cooperation," Gu Jiao said. He took a sip of tea. "What cooperation?" Gu Jiao looked at him with a smile. Does the State Preceptor Hall want the Black Wind Cavalry? No, he answered without hesitation. Gu Jiao blinked. Don't be so impulsive. The State Preceptor looked at Gu Jiao. Give me a reason not to refuse? The State Preceptor Hall did not need the Black Wind Cavalry. Its unique way of survival was destined to be an irreplaceable existence. Gu Jiao rolled her eyes. Black Wind Cavalry. Is it cooler to ride it? The State Preceptor was speechless. The State Preceptor took a big sip of herbal tea. The anger in his heart was a little strong. The State Preceptor Hall does not participate in the Imperial Court's political affairs. You're guilty and don't dare to do it, right? The State Preceptor looked at Gu Jiao with a puzzled face. Gu Jiao crossed her arms and hinted at the small study in the east. I saw it all. You, the Emperor of Yen, and Shen Yuan Li were close friends. You were like brothers, and you colluded with one brother to kill the other. The State Preceptor stopped drinking tea. Are you very angry? Was he admitting it in a disguised way? Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows and said, The North Star has appeared, and the Emperor has come out of Shenyuan. You and the Emperor are really daring. One dares to speak, while the other dares to believe. Shen Yuan Li definitely didn't expect that he would die in the hands of his two most trusted brothers. The State Preceptor was silent. Gu Jiao rested her chin on one hand and rested her elbow on the table. She looked at him with a smile that was not a smile. State Preceptor, if it wasn't for your face, I would have already made a move on you. Both Shangguan Yen and Xiao Hang had the blood of the Shenyuan family flowing in their veins. Little Jing Kong might also have a relationship with the Shenyuan family. The enemy of the Shenyuan family was her enemy. Most people would ask Gu Jiao, what happened to my face? But the imperial tutor didn't ask. After a moment of silence, he looked at Gu Jiao and asked, Why do you want to compete for the Black Wind Cavalry? The topic changed so quickly that Gu Jiao almost couldn't connect her emotions. Who doesn't want good things? Gu Jiao was wary of the State Preceptor, especially after discovering the 3 clay figurines. She didn't intend to confide in the State Preceptor. The State Preceptor stared at her and said, Do you know that once you take this step, there is no turning back? I don't have a turning back. The State Preceptor saw that Gu Jiao didn't speak, but her attitude was very firm. He sighed and put down the cup in his hand. I'll take you to a place. Gu Jiao thought that the State Preceptor was going to take her to visit somewhere in the State Preceptor Hall. Who would have thought that they would come to a military camp? Gu Jiao got off the carriage and stood at the entrance guarded by soldiers. The military camp was located at the foot of the mountain. The summer wind blew gently from the valley, bringing a little bit of coolness, but it couldn't get rid of the hot summer heat. From time to time, the sound of horse hooves could be heard on the training ground in the military camp. Gu Jiao suddenly had an illusion that she had been here before. Yi Qing said a few words to the soldiers guarding the gate, and the soldiers respectfully let them go. The State Preceptor took Gu Jiao inside. Yi Qing followed behind the two. What caught her eyes was a huge training ground, and the cavalry on the field was in formation. There should be a martial arts platform in the east, and the horse camp in the west. Gu Jiao thought. There was a martial arts platform there, but it was demolished. The State Preceptor said. What about the horse camp? Gu Jiao asked subconsciously. The horse camp is still there. The State Preceptor pointed to the west of the training ground. It was blocked by the cavalry. I can't see it now. I'll take you there. Gu Jiao looked around as if she was in another world. This is the cavalry camp of the Han family? The State Preceptor said, Yes. Gu Jiao said, It used to be the Shenyuan family. The State Preceptor paused. You can say that. Gu Jiao was still immersed in the sudden strange feeling, so she didn't care about the words, you can say that. The two arrived at the horse camp. The horse camp was the place where the Black Wind Cavalry was trained. Every Black Wind Cavalry had to go through a strict physical selection and physical training. Only then could they be assigned to the cavalry and undergo further training. The Black Wind Cavalry was very hard. Do you see it? The state preceptor pointed. Gu Jiao looked over and saw a horse trainer instructing 2 ponies to cross the fire bridge. They were going to cross the fire that was burning on both sides. The bridge was also the unstable type. One of the ponies was scared. It stood in the fire and didn't dare to move, letting out a pitiful cry. The state preceptor said, "What you see is only the tip of the iceberg. The intensity of the pony's training is very low, so it's relatively safe." Gu Jiao muttered, "You call this safe?" The state preceptor didn't say anything, but signaled for Gu Jiao to look to the other side. There was an adult Black Wind cavalry that was also crossing the fire bridge. The fire was bigger and fiercer. Not only were the 2 sides burning, but the 2 ends of the bridge were also burning. The Black Wind cavalry had to rush into the fire without hesitation. Not only did the Black Wind cavalry have to overcome their fear of the fire and endure the high temperature, but they also had to hold their breath to prevent themselves from breathing in the poisonous gas. The Black Wind cavalry had protective measures. As long as they were fast enough, they wouldn't get burned. But this was only in principle. In fact, there were often unexpected situations. The state preceptor said again, "The first test is to cross the fire bridge." Gu Jiao took a while to realize that the test he was talking about was the test to become the commander of the Black Wind cavalry. "Are you telling me the test in advance?" The state preceptor led Gu Jiao forward. No horse can cross the fire bridge in the state preceptor hall. Fear of fire was an animal's instinct. Only specially trained horses could overcome the fear in their hearts temporarily. The horses in the state preceptor hall obviously didn't have such training requirements. There was a loud bang, as if something had exploded. Gu Jiao looked in the direction of the sound. It was another batch of Black Wind cavalry that was undergoing explosive training. They had to maintain a calm formation under the threat of the explosion. Some of the new horses were so scared that they ran in all directions. The scene was chaotic. The state preceptor pointed and said, "They have been trained since 3 months ago. But look, even they are so scared." Gu Jiao asked strangely, "Don't tell me the second test is about explosives?" The state preceptor didn't admit or deny it. It seemed to be the case. If the fearless horse king could come for the first 2 tests, then the third one was definitely not. "Ride for 300 miles. The state preceptor said. The horse king was still a baby. Riding for 300 miles would kill it. The state preceptor stopped and looked at Gu Jiao. He said seriously, "We don't have a single horse that can reach this standard. So do you know how difficult it is for the Black Wind cavalry? Also, let me tell you a secret. The Han family has a new Black Wind king. He is 5 years old and a male horse. He is the strongest Black Wind king I have ever seen. You have no chance of winning. Including the Nangong family, none of the 11 families have won. Do you have the ability to accept the truth now? If you don't, then it's better not to know." Gu Jiao's mind flashed with Liu Chen's words. Explosions sounded in her ears, as well as the startled cries of the horses and the angry roars of the cavalry. The flashing of swords and shining of spears made her feel like she was in a real battlefield. Liu Chen's voice and the sounds of the battlefield intertwined endlessly in her mind. Her chest swelled as if there was some strong emotion that wanted to rush out. She clenched her fingers and said, "I want to go." The state preceptor's eyes flashed with complex emotions. "Tomorrow, I will let Yi Qing choose the best horse for you." "No need." Although the state preceptor's horse was good, it was not a war horse that could fight side by side with her. Willow Lane. Madame Nan was drying poison. She was sleepy. While drying, she was like a chicken pecking at rice. Suddenly, she pecked her head into the sieve. Madame Nan, damn, she was poisoned again. Madame Nan looked up with blood flowing out of her 7 orifices and looked at the door. "No way, my poison can cause hallucinations?" "Madame Nan." Gu Jiao walked over. Madame Nan raised her hand and pinched her face. There was warmth. It was hot. It was not a hallucination. Jiao Jiao really had returned. Madame Nan immediately forgot that she had been poisoned and said with a smile, Why have you returned so quickly? Wasn't it said that Ahing's mother's injuries had not yet healed and that she would need to stay in the State Preceptor's Hall for a few more days? What had happened in the State Preceptor's Hall, Gu Changfeng had already come to tell them about it. The things that needed to be shocked had already been shocked. They were more concerned about the future situation of the two children. Gu Jiao said, I came back for a few matters. Are Yen and the others not here? Madame Nan said, Elder Meng went to walk his horse. Yen and Xiaoshun went with their master to cut wood. I am the only one at home. They just left and will not be back so quickly. Are you hungry? I will go make something for you to eat. Madame Nan, you. Gu Jiao pointed at the poisonous blood on her face. Madame Nan was bleeding from all 7 orifices and smiled. Do you want to eat noodles or dumplings? My cooking skills have improved greatly recently. How about I bake a cake for you? Just as she said this, Madame Nan fell to the ground with a thump. Gu Jiao face-bombed. You've been poisoned, Madame Nan. Gu Jiao helplessly shook her head and carried Madame Nan back into the room. She picked up the antidote on the table and gave it to her. She pulled out a bottle and placed it on the bedside table. Inside was Gu Chongqing's blood. She had left a note. She opened the drawer and counted the nutrients that she had left for the Black Wind King. There were less than 2 left. The Black Wind King still refused to eat. Was it only relying on nutrients to maintain its body? Gu Jiao arrived in the backyard. The red tasseled spear stood under the scorching sun. The Black Wind King at the side had become much thinner. It lay on the ground and had completely lost its will to fight. It was like an old horse waiting for death. It saw Gu Jiao arrive, but it was indifferent. It had lost its passion and interest in everything. Gu Jiao knelt down in front of it like a knight and patted its head. I need you. I need you to stand up. I need you to return to the battlefield. I need you to fight by my side. Not master and mount, but comrades and companions. The Black Wind King did not respond. It wanted to die for its master. It could no longer hear anything from the outside world. Gu Jiao felt sorrow from the bottom of her heart. How strange. She actually had the emotions of a normal person. She gently patted the Black Wind King's head and no longer forced it. Everyone could make their own choices. Horses were the same. Gu Jiao thought that she should send the Black Wind King away. She patted the Black Wind King's head comfortingly and unconsciously began to sing a war song. Chiwe Wui, together with you. Wang Yu, fix my spear. Together with you. Chiwe Wui, together with you. Wang Yu, fix my spear. Together with you. On the roof of the Shen Yuan family, Liao Chen's heart suddenly skipped a beat. He put his hands behind his back and looked at the boundless sky. He muttered, Chua Wui, together with you. Wang Yu, fix my armor and soldiers. Together with you. In the military camp, the soldiers sat on the ground eating cold steamed buns. Someone spoke first, Chua Wui, together with you. The hoarse voice was like a broken bellows. It was not pleasant to hear. But soon, someone else started to sing with him. In the tent, General Han frowned. What's going on? The deputy general said in shock, It's the Shen Yuan family's war song. The Shen Yuan family always sang the war song before going to war. They also sang the war song when sending off their comrades. But ever since the 4 great families took over the Shen Yuan family's forces, they never allowed the soldiers to sing the Shen Yuan family's war song. Chiwe Wui, together with you. Wang Yu, fix my spear. Together with you. The entire military camp was filled with the Shen Yuan family's war song. The hoarse voice was choked with emotions. It soared into the sky and shook the vast ocean. Gu Jiao said goodbye to the Black Wind King and pulled out the red tasseled spear. Regardless of whether the Black Wind King was there or not, she had to return to her battlefield. When she walked to the door, she suddenly heard some movement behind her. Gu Jiao was stunned. She turned around and saw the Black Wind King, who had lost her will to fight, slowly stand up. Her eyes were filled with fighting spirit. She was the only female horse in the Great Yen, the Black Wind King. She had a legendary life. Her achievements were far beyond the reach of thousands of horses. At 16 years old, she was old and should retire from the stage of history. Her time was over. But no one knew that her legend had officially begun at this moment. Digression. Just a few more votes. Little cuties, make up the numbers. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that you can't find online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1066966328. HTML Genius memorized this website's address. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 753. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. All the novels that can't be found online are available here. The Han family. Old Master Han went to the family to discuss the selection of competitors with the elders. Han Yi was left in the room to recuperate. Han Yi sat in a chair with a terrible look on his face. Qi Xian pushed the door open and said to the servants, "You can leave now." The servants felt as if they had been relieved of a heavy burden. Qi Xian sat down beside him and said, "I heard that it will start tomorrow." The two of them knew what it was going to start. Han Ye's hands, which were placed on the armrest, were tightly clenched into fists. His eyes, which had not closed for the entire night, were bloodshot. Qi Xian sighed and said, "You're upset. I understand." Han Yi was furious and his eyes were like torches. "No, master, you don't understand. You don't know how it feels to be called a good-for-nothing. You don't know how painful it is to fall from the clouds. You don't know how humiliating it is to let the Black Wind Cavalry be taken away from me." Qi Xian opened his mouth but didn't refute him. Han Yi said coldly, "Who leaked the news?" Qi Xian said, "The Han family has kept your injury a secret. It can't be from the Han family. It should be from Xiao Lulang and the Emperor's grandson." Han Yi frowned. "It's so annoying. The Emperor's grandson is real." Wang Su had confirmed it himself. It couldn't be fake. The question was, how did he get involved with Xiao Lulang? Qi Xian didn't have an answer to this. But he was sure that the Emperor's grandson had caused them a lot of trouble and would continue to do so in the future. Han Yi gritted his teeth. "If I lose the Black Wind Cavalry, I'll be the sinner of the Han family." Qi Xian said, "It won't happen." Han Yi frowned and looked at Qi Xian. "Why not?" Qi Xian smiled and said, "The Black Wind Cavalry won't be taken away by other families." Han Yi snorted. "Master, are you so confident in the Han family?" Qi Xian said, "Your fifth uncle is back." Han Yi was shocked. "Fifth uncle?" Qi Xian nodded. "He's back with a new Black Wind King. It's stronger, younger, and more agile than your previous mount." Han Yi could hardly believe it. "More powerful than my Black Wind King. How is that possible?" He found it hard to accept this fact. Qi Xian was much older than Han Yi, so how could he not know what Han Yi was thinking? On one hand, he sincerely hoped that the Han family could win, but on the other hand, he didn't want to see the Han family having a disciple who was more outstanding than him. In short, it was very contradictory. Qi Xian didn't expose his thoughts, and simply said, "You should know that the Han family has been trying to use a new method to train the Black Wind Cavalry since a long time ago." Han Yi asked suspiciously, "That method worked?" Qi Xian nodded and said, "Yes, it was a success." So you can rest assured that no one can take away the position of commander. The Black Wind Cavalry belongs to the Han clan. Madam Nan, Master Lu, old Mr. Meng, I'm leaving. In the house, Gu Jiao said goodbye to the three of them. Master Lu looked at the dark sky and said, "It's so late, why don't you leave tomorrow morning?" Gu Jiao said, "Tomorrow is the day of the primary selection. If I go today, I can let the Black Wind King rest more and wait for him to be exhausted." Madam Nan glared at her husband and said, "Who can bear to run all the way from here tomorrow morning and then start the competition right after?" Moreover, the Black Wind King hadn't eaten well recently and had lost a lot of weight. He wasn't at his peak condition. Master Lu smiled and said, "That's true. Jiao Jiao, be careful on the road." "I'll send you off," Gu Yan said. "Sister, I'll send you off too." Gu Shaoshun said, "All right." Gu Jiao curled her lips. Old Mr. Meng calmly stopped her and said, "Wait. What's wrong?" Gu Jiao looked at old Mr. Meng as she fixed the saddle for the Black Wind King. Old Mr. Meng took the token of the chess sage of the 6 kingdoms from his waist and handed it to her. "Take it." After knowing that he was the real chess sage, Gu Jiao returned the token to him. Gu Jiao said, "I don't need the token to enter the inner city now." The State Master Hall gave her a token of the inner city. Old Mr. Meng said with a sour face, "Take it. If there's anything you can't handle, just tell him. I, old Mr. Meng, owe him a favor." Gu Jiao didn't refuse and took it. "Okay, thank you, old man." Old Mr. Meng coughed and said, "Call me master." Gu Jiao left. Old Mr. Meng thought, rebellious disciple. Gu Yan and Gu Shaoshun walked Gu Jiao all the way to the entrance of the alley. Gu Yan hooked Gu Jiao's finger and said, "You have to win." If it were others, they might say that winning or losing was not important and that one should act according to one's ability. But Gu Yan could feel that in the depths of her soul, there was something more important than her life. "Okay." Gu Jiao nodded. Gu Shaoshun secretly gave his sister a mechanical box. "This time it's been modified, so it won't attack indiscriminately. You can use it without worry." Last time, even Gu Jiao herself was hit by it. Gu Jiao tested it once in the State Master Hall and almost turned herself and Yi Qing into sieves. Gu Jiao took the mechanical box and said, "You guys go back, I'll be back as soon as I'm done with this." Gu Shaoshun pulled Gu Yan away. Even when they were far away, he still turned around and waved at Gu Jiao. "Sis, be careful on the road." Gu Jiao also waved back. I will." Only when the two entered the courtyard did Gu Jiao get on the horse. This was her first time riding the Black Wind King, and it was indeed different from other horses. She raised her eyebrows. "Am I riding a horse? It's a Lamborghini. Too flashy." Considering the Black Wind King's condition and stamina, Gu Jiao didn't ride too fast. Halfway through, she faintly felt that she was being followed. She looked at the shadow on the ground and slightly rubbed her chin. She told the Black Wind King to stop. That shadow also stopped. She left. That shadow also followed. Her fingertips tapped on the saddle a few times. Then she suddenly got off the horse and walked towards that shadow. The horse panicked and buried its head into the grass on the side of the road. "Can't see me, can't see me, can't see me." Gu Jiao. Little Jing Kong refused to sleep. He wanted to wait for Jiao Jiao to come back. He wasn't satisfied with waiting in the Qilin Hall, so he directly ran to the State Master Hall's entrance. Xiao Heng helplessly followed. One big and one small waited in front of the State Master Hall's entrance like a rock. Finally, Gu Jiao came. With 2 horses. The Black Wind King and the Horse King. The moment little Jing Kong saw the Horse King, his eyes lit up. "Wow! Little Shi! Jiao Jiao, you brought little Shi here." The Horse King's body trembled. It was so frightened that its legs almost fell off. "Ah, why is this little brat here? Is it too late to escape now?" Little Jing Kong's gaze was attracted by the Black Wind King. He realized that this was not the horse from his family. The horse at home was not so tall and majestic. Little Jing Kong was like a small spore in front of the Black Wind King. He looked at a towering tree and exclaimed, "Wow!" He looked at the Black Wind King in amazement. The Black Wind King also looked at him curiously. After a while, it took 2 steps towards him and sniffed his scent. It was just like how it sniffed the red-tasseled spear in the backyard. "It likes you very much," Gu Jiao said to Little Jing Kong. "It doesn't have a name yet. Do you want to give it a name?" The Horse King's morale was immediately boosted. "I have a little brother now." Little Jing Kong tilted his head and said, "Boss." The Horse King's face immediately fell. Xiao Heng reached out to Gu Jiao, and Gu Jiao jumped off the horse. Xiao Heng looked deeply at the Black Wind King. "It is." Gu Jiao nodded. "It is." Little Jing Kong led the 2 horses happily into the State Preceptor Palace. Xiao Heng looked at the back of the Black Wind King and said, "It has been starving for too long. It seems to be a bit weak. Is it really okay?" Gu Jiao looked at the Black Wind King walking silently in the dark and said with certainty, "I believe in it." Early the next morning, Gu Jiao saw Yi Qing in the Qilan Palace. Yi Qing first greeted Xiao Hang, who sent Gu Jiao here, "Your Highness Zhongsun." Then he said to Gu Jiao, "Master asked me to send Mr. Xiao to the primary election. I have already signed you up. This is the token." "Oh," Gu Jiao replied, took it, and put it into her pocket. Yi Qing was stunned. Gu Jiao rode the Black Wind King out of the State Preceptor Palace. The location of the primary election was the Han family's Black Wind Camp that the State Preceptor took Gu Jiao to yesterday. There were many people who came to participate. In addition to the children of the aristocratic families, there were also many children of poor families who had letters of recommendation. Most of the letters were from the academies or the government offices in Chengdu. Most people would be eliminated in the primary election, but most of them were not the children of the top 10 aristocratic families or the Nangong family. First, the background of the aristocratic families was a consideration. Second, the children selected by the aristocratic families were indeed not ordinary people. They were all the pillars of the family that spent a lot of money and resources to cultivate. In the case of talent and diligence, how could they lose to 10 years of hard work after 100 years of foundation and several generations of accumulation? If the children of poor families wanted to stand out, ordinary talent was not enough. They had to be talented, 1 in 10,000, and they had to put in unimaginable effort. Gu Jiao saw Gu Chongqing from afar. Gu Chongqing was with the Crown Prince, so it was not convenient for him to come over. He only exchanged glances with Gu Jiao for a moment, then followed the Crown Prince into the camp. The children of the Han family had privileges. Therefore, while others were waiting in line, Gu Chongqing went to familiarize himself with the venue first. Yi Qing said to Gu Jiao, "I won't go in. I will wait for Mr. Xiao outside." The people of the State Preceptor Palace did not participate in the military power. Sending Gu Jiao to the door was already the limit. If he went in to accompany Gu Jiao, he was afraid that he would be criticized. Gu Jiao nodded. After Yi Qing left, Gu Jiao rubbed the head of the Black Wind King and said, "Are you ready?" The Black Wind King impatiently took a few steps forward and let out 2 heavy breaths, as if responding to Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao's lips curled up. She tightened the reins and looked forward. "Let's go." The preliminary selection was on a training ground in the west of the Black Wind Camp. The selection process was not complicated. In the center of the ground, there were 6 man-made iron bridges, 5 feet wide and 2 feet long. The iron chains on both sides of the bridges were burning. At first glance, they were 6 blazing bridges of fire. The candidates needed to ride a horse across the fire bridges, walk on a small path buried with black gunpowder, and make a sharp turn onto a wooden platform about the height of a person. The last person to stay on the platform would advance. It was worth mentioning that during the whole process, the cavalry could not dismount in any way, otherwise they would be disqualified. Gu Jiao went to draw lots. 6 people in a group. She was number 36, the group in the morning. Gu Chongqing was number 6. When Gu Jiao entered, He had just finished his competition. He rode a black wind mount, and his riding and martial arts skills were excellent, so he advanced without any suspense. Gu Jiao was not so lucky. She met both the Han family and Feng family in the first round. The Han family sent Han Che, who rode a fierce and vigorous black wind mount. The Feng family sent a branch family member, who was also a rare expert. Although his horse was not a black wind mount, it was still very fierce and fierce. Adding on his strong internal energy, he could use his own internal energy to stabilize his mount when necessary. The other three were also top experts. Two of them even spent a lot of money to borrow the Han family's black wind mounts. Everyone else's preliminaries were normal, but Gu Jiao's first round was hell. Gu Jiao had a toothache. Han Che stood on the first track and arrogantly said, "Is there one more person who's not coming? How long do we have to wait? I don't think he's scared and wants to forfeit. I advise you guys to forfeit as well. How confident are you to compete with the Han family for the black wind mount? No, how big of a misunderstanding is there?" The Feng family expert coldly said, Stop talking nonsense. We'll see later." Han Che snorted, "You overestimate yourself." The black wind mount he chose was the fiercest horse other than the new Black Wind King. This challenge was not as difficult as the usual training. He was definitely going to win. As soon as he thought about it, he felt his mount move a few times without him giving any orders. The Feng family expert's horse also moved a few steps. The other two black wind mounts also moved uneasily. "Don't scare my horse," the Feng family expert said to Han Che. Han Che unhappily said, "If you're afraid of being scared, then stay away from me. I even suspected that you used your internal energy to scare my horse." The restlessness of the horses began to increase. Not only were the horses like this, but Han Che also noticed that the horses waiting or resting were also restless, as if they felt some kind of suppression from their bloodline. Han Che frowned. In the next second, a strong murderous aura enveloped him from behind. Almost at the same time, he heard someone exclaim, "Black Wind King? The Han family's Black Wind King is here." Black Wind King? His fifth uncle was here? Han Che quickly turned around. However, he did not see his fifth uncle, but a young man that he would recognize even if he turned into ashes. The young man was riding the Han family's previous Black Wind King. Like a returning king, his eyes were piercingly cold as he walked towards them step by step. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated even faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_896428826/1066783336. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhbqg.com Bikuj mobile reading website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 754. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more frequently. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. The rest of the people present didn't know that Black Wind King had retired, but Han Yi knew very well. This horse was old and couldn't fight anymore. Plus, it went crazy looking for its previous owner and was judged to have no military value by the Han family. The Han family announced that it was retired. In reality, they didn't want it anymore and left it to fend for itself. According to Chu Nan, when it found out that its previous owner was never coming back, it wouldn't hesitate to sacrifice itself. After so many days, it was starving to death. Why was it standing in front of him all of a sudden? No, it wasn't all of a sudden. It had lost a lot of weight. Han Che had always envied his elder brother's mount and dreamed of riding it himself. He went to see it every few days, so he was very familiar with its appearance. He suddenly understood that Xiao Lulang must have picked up the horse. Xiao Lulang was a doctor, who knew what method he used to prolong Black Wind King's life. Unfortunately, Black Wind King had lost its will to fight. So what if its life was prolonged? He was nothing more than a walking corpse. Han Che, who figured it all out, didn't have a trace of fear in his heart. Instead, it was replaced by endless ridicule and disdain. I was wondering who it was. So it's you, Xiao Lulang. He rode on his Black Wind mount and looked at Gu Jiao's handsome face with the red birthmark. He said sarcastically, "You don't have money to buy a horse, so you stole our Han family's old Black Wind King?" As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. What? Stole? His Black Wind King was stolen? I was wondering, it's obviously Heir Han's mount. How did it end up in this kid's hands? The cavalry contestants began to whisper among themselves. A horse to a cavalry was like a weapon to an expert. Everyone wanted to have the best. However, they often couldn't obtain the best things, and they definitely didn't want their opponents to obtain them. If it belonged to someone that everyone could only look up to, then everyone's hearts would still be balanced. However, once it was snatched away by an ordinary person, this balance would be instantly broken. So it was stolen. The realization made them feel a little better. Unfortunately, Gu Jiao's existence was not to satisfy some people's self-consolation. She was here to shatter their fantasies. Gu Jiao said calmly, "The Black Wind King of your Han family? Why don't you try calling it and see if it responds?" Han Che choked. He stared at the horse on Gu Jiao's back and said seriously, "Black Wind King, come here." The Black Wind King didn't move. "Black Wind King," Han Che ordered again. The Black Wind King remained as still as a mountain. Han Che frowned. Strangely, this horse was not usually so indifferent to him. It did not allow him to ride it, but at least it gave him some response. Han Che racked his brain and suddenly had an idea. Horseshoe. The horseshoe on its feet belongs to our Han family. Gu Jiao patted the Black Wind King and said, "Come on, boss. Raise your horseshoe and let this blind man see it." Han Che was furious. "Who are you calling blind?" The Black Wind King raised its own hoof. It no longer had the horseshoe on its feet. It was a new one from the State Preceptor Hall. If he had the guts, he would go and argue with the State Preceptor Hall and see if it was the State Preceptor Hall that stole their horse. Han Che gritted his teeth and changed the direction of his attack. "Xiao Lulang, you don't have the right to participate." Gu Jiao raised her eyebrows. "I'm qualified to be here. Speaking of which, didn't your Han family also hire someone to pretend to be a collateral descendant?" "You." Han Che choked with guilt. On the other side, his father's lieutenant shook his head slightly, indicating that he should not be led by the nose by Xiao Lulang. The more he said, the more it would prove that the Black Wind King belonged to Xiao Lulang. Xiao Liulang's every move seemed to be an answer to Han Che's doubts, but in reality, Han Che had fallen into his trap. Han Che took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He snorted disdainfully. "What are you so proud of? It's just an old horse abandoned by our Han family. We already have a new Black Wind King. You can have this old piece of trash if you want to." "So it's an old horse. I heard that the Black Wind King was retired. Isn't it a little too cruel to throw it away after it's retired?" "I heard that it ran away on its own. It was obviously stolen by this brat." "That's enough. That's not important. Is this brat crazy to bring an old horse to participate in the competition?" A 16-year-old horse was already useless. If it was in the Han family, an excellent trainer might have been able to prolong its service life. However, in the hands of an ordinary brat, it was no different from a piece of trash. Perhaps the horse sensed the crowd's emotions, or perhaps it had sensed the Black Wind King's age. So what if it was a king? It was old after all. Young and strong horses were the true victors of the battlefield. The battlefield belonged to them. "Get ready." Following the examiner's shout, everyone stood in front of their own fire bridge. In a sense, the cavalry on both sides had a slight advantage. They were only affected by one side. The cavalry in the middle was like a pincer attack, which affected the horses the most. Gu Jiao was on the third fire bridge. On her left was an expert from the Feng family, and on her right was another expert riding a black wind rider. The fire bridges were the same length as the explosion zone, but they were not necessarily in the same position. For example, some people's fire bridges started at 30 steps and ended at 70 steps. Others' fire bridges started at 10 steps and ended at 50 steps. The explosion zone was the same. This would cause a lot of disturbance to the horses. Gu Jiao held the reins tightly and gently stroked the Black Wind King's neck. The Black Wind King was very calm. In comparison, the other horses were eager to try. They were more eager to charge than the Black Wind King. The Black Wind King looked really old. It was indifferent to the dangers around it. Will it be burned to death because it can't cross it later? It won't be burned to death, but it might be burned. It seems to be very tired. Is it so old that it can't move? The crowd was criticizing. No one was optimistic about the 16-year-old Black Wind King. The expert from the Feng family said to Han Che, "It seems that the winner of this round will be between you and me." Han Che said arrogantly, "You're wrong. There's no chance for you." The expert from the Feng family said coldly, "Let's wait and see." The gong sounded, and the competition began. The horses tensed up their muscles and leaped forward, galloping forward. This was the round with the highest overall quality of the horses. 4 of the 6 horses were Black Wind Riders, and the other 2 were also strong war horses. They were fast and vigorous. They were invincible. However, Gu Jiao's horse did not move. Everyone was speechless. Was it scared? Or did it really have dementia? Look. Han Che's horse rushed out of the fire bridge. Han Che took the lead and crossed the burning bridge of fire. His bridge was the closest, so it was not strange for him to be the first to cross. However, his vigorous posture and skillful equestrian skills were still a feast for the eyes. Someone praised, as expected of the younger brother of Crown Prince Han. "This is the ability of the Black Wind King." The other 4 horses also stepped onto their respective fire bridges one after another. Gu Jiao and the Black Wind King became the laughingstock of the crowd. Were these 2 guys here to be funny? The competition was over. Halfway through their laughter, a black shadow flashed in front of them. It was so fast that it was hard to see. Everyone was stunned. What just passed? No, I didn't see. Ah, that kid is gone. The man and the horse that were originally standing there disappeared. Look. Go, go, go. Before he could finish his sentence, the Black Wind King had already rushed down the fire bridge with Gu Jiao. The Black Wind King caught up with the first opponent and left him far behind. The Black Wind King caught up with the second opponent. The third, the fourth. All the horses suddenly seemed to be moving in slow motion. In fact, it was not that they were slow, but the Black Wind King was too fast. Saying that it was old. Saying that it could not run anymore? Then I'll let you bastards have half the time. The Black Wind King's terrifying explosive power stunned everyone. Its muscles were taut, and they could clearly see the movement of its muscles as it ran. That was a sign of full strength. Han Che took the lead and was about to reach the explosion zone. He had already glanced at the second place. He had left the second place far behind. He would definitely be the first. Bang! Han Che's heart skipped a beat when he heard a loud noise. The Black Wind King was not startled. After all, they were trained. However, Han Che was not mentally prepared and almost fell off his horse. Who the hell? Han Che turned his head to look. Whoosh! Before Han Che could see it clearly, the Black Wind King had already rushed into the explosion zone of the third track. The sound of explosions intertwined, smoke billowed, and dust flew. The Black Wind King was too fast, so the frequency of the explosions was also high. It was as if a whip had been lit, and a series of crackling sounds were heard. The rhythm of the entire arena was messed up. The two horses were in a mess. One ran off the track, and the other caused the rider to fall off. Both of them were eliminated. The Feng family's expert used his internal energy to stabilize the frightened horses, but it did not take long before they entered the explosion zone. Han Che also entered the explosion zone at the same time. There was another round of crackling sounds. Another horse scampered out of the race in fright. The Black Wind King was not affected in the slightest. It ran as fast as lightning, leaving Han Che and the Feng experts far behind. Even if they were injected with chicken blood, they would not be able to catch up. Gu Jiao's legs tightened around the horse's abdomen. Her strength and the Black Wind King's strength seemed to have merged into one. It was their first battle, but they seemed to have cooperated thousands of times. It was as if they were born with a tacit understanding. They were about to reach the platform. From afar, Gu Jiao felt that the platform was about the same height as her. When she got closer, she realized that the platform was even taller than Gu Chongqing. It was at least 2-3 meters tall. Prepare to accelerate. Gu Jiao stood up from the saddle with the stirrups. She leaned over and grabbed the reins. Charge! The Black Wind King's speed was already unbelievably fast, but no one expected it to be able to accelerate. The platform was 7 feet high. It rose from the ground and jumped. The surroundings seemed to be quiet all of a sudden. Everyone held their breaths, and the sound of explosions could not be heard. Everyone could not help but feel nervous for the Black Wind King. The platform was too high. Could it even reach it? The Black Wind Rider stepped up easily and landed firmly on the high platform. It used its strength to prove that it could handle the situation with ease. What useless old horse! The Han family is blind. Sir, the height of the platform is wrong. It's 1 foot too high. Then hurry up and lower it. The cavalry has already gone up. Where are the Han family and the Feng family? They haven't gone up yet. Then lower it. There was a mechanism under the platform. It could be raised and lowered freely. Gu Jiao felt the platform slowly move down. Oh, they wanted to lower the height. How could they cheat in public like this? In the crowd, some of the nobles were dissatisfied. Isn't this too much? Why didn't they lower it earlier or later? It's not fair. Gu Jiao rode on the Black Wind King and faced the direction where Han Che and the Feng family came from. She licked her lips and said amusedly, "It's useless." Han Che was happy to see the platform lower. He knew it. The platform was not that high during yesterday's training. Now it was foolproof. The corners of his lips curled up as he spurred his horse forward. The Black Wind King suddenly rushed over, raised its hooves, and kicked him and his horse down. Han Che was caught off guard. This action was very dangerous because the platform was too high. If he was not careful, he could fall down due to inertia. Ordinary cavalry would not let their mounts do this. However, Gu Jiao was not an ordinary person, and the Black Wind King was not an ordinary horse. If you dare to come, I will dare to kick you. The Black Wind King showed everyone its severely underestimated combat power. It was as if it had returned from nirvana. Even its strength was reborn. Han Che was directly kicked out of the competition. The Feng family's master was cunning. He took advantage of the time when Gu Jiao and the Black Wind King were dealing with Han Che to jump up from the other side of the platform. Unexpectedly, the Black Wind King rushed over and knocked the Feng family's master's mount down. The Feng family's master, "I'll go." A man and a horse fell from the high platform. The Feng family's master had to abandon his horse in order to not be crushed into meat paste. The Feng family's master was eliminated. Advance to the next round. Xiao Lulang. Digression. Please vote for the Black Wind King. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster and more complete. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhhbqg com/89642_8264826/106674807. HTML Genius memorized this site's address. www.zhhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website. zhhbqg.com. Chapter 755. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels that can't be found online are all available here. Gu Jiao's victory was beyond everyone's expectations. Before the results were announced, Xiao Lulang didn't know about this person at all. Although Xiao Lulang was already famous in the archer circle, the distance between them was like a mountain. The military circle had never heard of this person. There were more than 200 people participating in the preliminaries. 6 people in a round, 44 rounds in total. Not every cavalryman who advanced would receive attention. Obviously, Han Che, who was Han Ye's younger brother, contributed a lot of attention to Gu Jiao. Coupled with the Black Wind King and the Feng family's experts, Gu Jiao suddenly became the hottest topic. Many people wanted to talk to her, but they were too scared by the Black Wind King beside her to go forward. The Black Wind King's aura was too strong, automatically creating a spacious space around Gu Jiao. Gu Jiao enjoyed the feeling of not being squeezed around by others. She stood at the side of the training ground, quietly watching the other people's selections. Gu Chongqing walked towards Gu Jiao. The Black Wind King moved. Gu Jiao gently touched its neck. The Black Wind King was no longer wary of Gu Chongqing. Outsiders naturally couldn't understand the communication between the man and the horse. They only thought that the young man was too bold, daring to approach the Black Wind King. Wasn't he afraid that the Black Wind King would kick him away? One had to know that Han Che and the Feng family's experts were kicked away like this. Not far away, there were several Han family's disciples standing. Gu Chongqing turned around and exchanged glances with them. They made a gesture, and Gu Chongqing nodded knowingly. Then he came in front of Gu Jiao. There were explosions and all kinds of screams, so no one could hear what they were talking about. But looking at Gu Chongqing's expression, it seemed like he was denouncing Gu Jiao. Frown a little. Yeah, that's it, Gu Chongqing said. Gu Jiao frowned exaggeratedly. Gu Chongqing, I want you to frown, not punch your face. Gu Chongqing said, you did well just now. The horse has lost some weight. Gu Jiao nodded. She stroked the Black Wind King's mane and said, I haven't eaten properly for a few days. I've lost weight from hunger. But I'll try to eat more in the future. Gu Chongqing had already heard about the Black Wind King's departure from the Han family. Han Yi could have gotten the horse back, but he didn't. He had no faith in the Black Wind King. He had never truly regarded the Black Wind King as his mount. He only saw it as a valuable item. Once the value of the item was gone, there was no need to keep it. Fortunately, I ran into you, Gu Chongqing said sincerely. If it was someone else, the Black Wind King might not be able to recover. I didn't run into it, Gu Jiao said. It was the Horse King that brought the Black Wind King back. It was also on the way to find the Horse King that it brought the Black Wind King back. Gu Chongqing didn't know what to say. His sister liked to pick people, and the horse she raised also liked to pick other horses. You're being targeted. Gu Chongqing didn't forget about the important matter. If it wasn't to remind her, he wouldn't have told the Han family's disciples that he was coming over to beat this kid up. Oh. Gu Jiao wasn't surprised. Someone from the Feng family. The Feng family's third brother was killed by her in the forest. Not only that, but also the Dong family, Du family, Chen family, and Yong family. Oh. Gu Jiao was even more surprised. These 4 people were all injured by her in the forest. Among them, Master Du and Master Chen were the most seriously injured, while Master Yang and Master Dong were slightly better. After coming out of the forest, She wondered if these people would report her to the emperor, but they didn't. She and Xiao Hang carefully analyzed this problem and came to the conclusion that they didn't dare to. They rudely snatched the young princess, causing her to fall and injure her. The young princess still remembered it. The emperor was worried about who those people were. How could they have the courage to mention what happened in the forest? However, because it couldn't be made public, they all hated Gu Jiao. Gu Chongqing said softly, "Be careful. I will tell the Han family that I'm trying to win you over." "Okay." Gu Jiao responded. In order to not arouse suspicion, Gu Chongqing couldn't stay for too long. "The Han family has been watching this place. I'm going over." Gu Chongqing said, "I won't go to the State Preceptor Hall for the next few days. If there's anything, I'll contact you." Gu Jiao nodded. Thinking of something, Gu Chongqing asked again, "By the way, what identity are you using?" "I haven't seen it yet," Gu Jiao said and opened the pouch. Just as she was about to take out the token, she heard a shout in front of her. "Xiao Lulang, come and get your number." Gu Chongqing looked at the deputy examiner and said to Gu Jiao, "It's the drawing of lots to determine the order of the next round. I've already drawn the lot. It's Heavenly Stems 1. Go quickly." The order of appearance was according to the heavenly stems and earthly branches. The first of the heavenly stems was the number 1, so it was also called Heavenly Stems 1. After drawing the number, it wouldn't be announced to the public. Thus, Gu Chongqing didn't know who would draw the other Heavenly Stems 1. Gu Chongqing said, "As long as you don't draw the Heavenly Stems 1, it's fine." It wasn't worth it for them to fight so early. He still wanted to exhaust a few more opponents for her. Gu Jiao looked at him and said, "You can't raise a flag. You'll fall." "Huh?" Gu Chongqing was confused. Gu Jiao said, "Nothing. I'll tell you in detail next time. I'm going." "Go," Gu Chongqing said. Gu Jiao led Black Wind King to the east side of the camp. Another round of selection was going on. One of the participants was Priest Qing Feng. Gu Jiao was surprised. He was here too. Yes, he was the elder brother of the Feng family. The Feng family had 2 spots. The one just now was obviously not enough. If he didn't go up personally, the Feng family had no chance of winning. Priest Qing Feng was riding a beautiful white horse. He looked like a celestial being. Even when he was riding, he looked like a celestial being. He rushed out of the fire. His eyes were cold and determined. His face was stained with ashes, which made him look beautiful. He rode his horse up the platform ahead of the other 5 people. Gu Jiao could see that he was deliberately going easy on them. It was the first round. They just needed to advance. They didn't need to fight too hard. Who didn't go easy on them? Right, boss? Gu Jiao patted Black Wind King and no longer paid attention to the situation on the platform. Priest Qing Feng didn't lose in riding, so he wouldn't lose in martial arts. When she came to the gate of the camp, she met another acquaintance. Compared to Priest Qing Feng, the person in front of her didn't seem so surprised. Mu Qingchen. She greeted him. Mu Qingchen looked a little tired. She didn't know if he was affected by what happened in the Mu family. Mu Qingchen didn't look too surprised. He didn't expect Gu Jiao to come. It was just that he saw Gu Jiao during the selection. He didn't ask why Gu Jiao was here. His intuition told him that Gu Jiao wouldn't answer. He looked at Gu Jiao with a complicated expression and said, "I'll do my best." Gu Jiao said, "Me too." At this moment, a soldier came over and took Gu Jiao and Mu Qingchen's horses to the stable to feed them. Mu Qingchen gave the horse to the soldier. Gu Jiao said, "My horse doesn't need to be fed." The soldier said, "It's hot. The horse has consumed a lot of energy. If you don't replenish it with water and food, it will be dehydrated." Gu Jiao still said, "I know. It's not necessary." The soldier opened his mouth. He wanted to say something, but Mu Qingchen said, "Take the horse away." "Ah, yes." The soldier took Mu Qingchen's horse away. When the soldier took the horse to the stable, 2 men in brocade clothes came over. One of them had a white face and no beard, and the other had a goatee. The white man said, "Why didn't you bring it here?" The soldier reported, "Master Dong, the boy said his horse didn't need to be fed." "Oh, what did I say?" Master Dong sneered and looked at the man with a goatee. "Old Yong, do you believe me now? That boy is not a reckless man. He is scheming and vigilant. It's not easy to deal with him." Master Yong frowned and said, "Who on earth is that boy?" Master Dong said with a smile, "He is a student of the Chenxiong Academy from the Zhao Kingdom. He is Mu Qingchen's classmate. I suspect the masked man in white we took away that day is Mu Qingchen." Master Yong said suspiciously, "Why did Mu Qingchen do that? Isn't he the grandson of Master Mu? Why didn't he help the Mu family?" Master Dong said with a faint smile, "Maybe the Su family has their own ideas. Who knows?" Master Yang said thoughtfully, "Since he is not from the Yen Kingdom, he must be a collateral disciple to participate in the selection. Is his purpose to help Mu Qingchen exhaust his opponent?" Master Dong agreed, "It's very possible." On the other side, Gu Jiao and Mu Qingchen had finished drawing lots. They didn't exchange any information in the tent. After coming out, Mu Qingchen hesitated for a moment and called out to her, "I'm from the Earth Branch." Gu Jiao said, "What a coincidence. I'm also from the Earth Branch." Mu Qingchen held his breath slightly. "Shenjiu." Gu Jiao said, "8 limbs. I'm 1 round ahead of you." Mu Qingchen breathed a sigh of relief secretly. Somehow, he didn't want to fight with Gu Jiao. Even if it was only a matter of time, he still hoped that the battle between them could be delayed a little bit. While they were drawing lots, the cavalries of the 10 great families came out one after another. 9 of them from the Han family, except for Han Che, who was eliminated by Gu Jiao. All the other 8 advanced. Everyone was amazed by the strength of the Black Wind cavalries of the Han family. However, Gu Jiao didn't think that the Han family was that powerful. The Black Wind cavalries were taken from the Shenyuan family, and the method of taming them was also passed down by the Shenyuan family. The Han family was just eating the blood of the Shenyuan family. Gu Jiao was not interested in watching anymore. She planned to go back and feed the Black Wind King. "I'm leaving now. See you in the next round." Just as she bid farewell to Mu Qingchen, she suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. It was as if a terrifying murderous aura had swept over from the other side of the battlefield. It was unstoppable and instantly filled the entire battlefield. The horses on the field began to become restless. Even the horses who were concentrating on the game shook their bodies. What a powerful aura! The only horse that wasn't affected was the Black Wind King. Ah! A horse that was trying to get onto the stage paused in midair. It didn't manage to get onto the stage and fell down with the cavalryman. The cavalryman let out a cry of surprise. Gu Jiao and Mu Qingchen looked at the powerful aura at the same time. They saw a silver-haired man riding a chestnut-colored horse over. He was walking elegantly and calmly, but he had the domineering aura of a king. The silver-haired man was very young. He looked to be in his late 20s. As for the horse, Gu Jiao couldn't tell its exact age, but she could tell that it was a young and vigorous horse. Mu Qingchen's expression became serious. "It's the Han family's new Black Wind King. He's 6 years old this year. The one riding on the horse is 5th Master Han, the son of old Master Han. He has been studying how to tame the Han family's Black Wind cavalries." Gu Jiao looked at Mu Qingchen. "Your Black Wind cavalries?" Mu Qingchen looked at her and said, "5th Master Han once said that the Black Wind cavalries tamed by the Shenyuan family weren't the most powerful horses in the world. He would use his own methods to tame even more powerful Black Wind cavalries. His new Black Wind King is the result of his taming." "Oh." Gu Jiao rubbed her chin and carefully observed the man and horse not far away. Mu Qingchen said earnestly, "I know that your Black Wind King is very powerful, but I'm afraid it's no match for that horse." 5th Master Han's new Black Wind King was not only younger, but also more agile. Its explosive power, endurance, speed, and strength were all impeccable. Mu Qingchen paused and said, "Also, it has a name." Gu Jiao asked, "What's its name?" Mu Qingchen opened his mouth and said, "Black Demon Horse." The Black Demon Horse entered the field. It was in the middle of the track, but the horses on both sides of the track were already too scared to move before the gongs and drums had even sounded. Although the other two horses could force themselves to charge forward, they frequently made mistakes and were eliminated before they could even cross the flaming bridge. Fifth Master Han advanced without any suspense. Mu Qingchen looked at the invincible Black Demon Horse on the high platform and frowned slightly. Your Black Wind King took a total of 17 breaths to reach the high platform, but Fifth Han's Black Demon Horse only took 12 breaths. At such a short distance, the Black Demon Horse was 5 breaths faster than the Black Wind King. This was like a 110m hurdle where the first runner was 5 seconds ahead of the second runner. Mu Qingchen said, "I know your Black Wind King isn't using its full strength, and neither is Fifth Master Han's Black Demon Horse. Fifth Master Han's martial arts are very powerful. You have no chance of winning. If you meet them next time, I hope you can choose fight," Gu Jiao said. Mu Qingchen frowned. Didn't she say the opposite? Gu Jiao mounted her horse and gripped the reins tightly. She looked at Fifth Master Han, who was riding his Black Demon Horse, from afar. Fifth Master Han's eyes were full of contempt. Gu Jiao felt the provocation from the Black Demon Horse, and she also felt the powerful battle intent from the Black Wind King. She straightened her back, and her eyes were resolute. "I want to fight. Black Wind King, I also want to fight." The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated at a faster rate. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/89642_8964286/1066594000. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Pavilion Mobile Reading Website. zhbqg.com. Chapter 756. The latest chapter of this book is not finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. There are all kinds of novels that can't be found on the internet. There can't be 2 kings in a country. There can only be 1 Black Wind King. The same goes for the commander. This is their joint battle. There is no way out. Gu Jiao refreshed Mu Qingchen's understanding again and again, making him feel as if he saw a new life. There were many brave people in the world, but there had never been such a person who was fearless enough to fight against the heavens, against fate, and against all the impossibilities in the world. He had never thought of running away. He always faced the difficulties head-on, even if he had to die. Mu Qingchen looked at the young man beside him. His chest was filled with a long-lost emotion. It was as if he was suddenly pulled back to his young and frivolous age. His blood was boiling rapidly. Everything around him didn't change. But when Mu Qingchen looked at the fierce competition on the battlefield again, he suddenly felt that everything was different. The confrontation between Gu Jiao and Fifth Master Han ended with Fifth Master Han being announced as the winner. Gu Jiao could stay here until the sky turned dark. If he had the ability, he could always occupy the high platform and not let anyone else choose. The young man looked at him frivolously. Fifth Master Han looked away disdainfully and jumped off the high platform on his new Black Wind King. The Su family came to call Mu Qingchen. Mu Qingchen and Gu Jiao said goodbye. Mu Qingchen still had something to deal with, so he went to another part of the camp. Gu Jiao rode Black Wind King out slowly. Wherever she went, the horses retreated. No one dared to approach. But when she passed by the training ground of the cavalry matrix, Gu Jiao was stopped by several people. They were also riding their own horses. Gu Jiao glanced at them. The goateed Master Yang, the white-faced Master Dong, and the other 3 young people she had only seen in pictures. They were the children of the Feng family, the Du family, and the Chen family. "You are the one who killed my father." A bad-tempered young man looked at Gu Jiao coldly. He was about to explode. Gu Jiao rubbed his chin. This was the Feng family's brat. He was ranked 4th in the Feng family and was known as 4th Young Master Feng. He looked quite similar to Feng Laosan. Even his violent temper was exactly the same. His stupidity when being used by others was also exactly the same. "Did they tell you?" Gu Jiao pointed at Patriarch Dong and Patriarch Yang. It was obvious that these 2 old things were not easy to deal with. Back in the forest, one of them had only made a feint, while the other had waited until his companion was about to die before making a move. 4th Young Master Feng gritted his teeth. "You don't need to know who said it. Let me ask you, did you kill my father?" "No." Gu Jiao denied it without hesitation and pointed at Patriarch Dong and Patriarch Yang. They were the ones who killed him. Patriarch Dong and Patriarch Yang were stunned. There was actually such a shameless person in this world. Could this brat's ability to invert right and wrong be any stronger? The Dong family's patriarch was furious. "Don't slander me. It was obviously you who killed him." Lord Chen, Lord Du, and Shi Yi were present. "Little nephew Feng, if you don't believe me, you can ask them." Gu Jiao spread her hands. "I was just defending myself, but the people who really killed him were you. You urged him to make a move, but you didn't help him. He and I are enemies, so it's understandable for us to fight. You are friends, but one of you hid and didn't make a move, while the other only made a feint. Didn't you want to borrow my hand to get rid of Feng Laosan?" Patriarch Dong and Patriarch Yang choked at the same time. "You." 4th Young Master Feng's expression changed. He tightened the reins in his hand and looked at the 2 patriarchs beside him. He gritted his teeth and said, "Is that so? Uncle Dong, Uncle Yang?" "Of course not. Who does your father think he is that we need to scheme against him? We didn't make a move because we wanted to let your father consume this brat's strength first. What's going on?" Gu Jiao looked at them calmly. "If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." Patriarch Yang clenched his fists. "You brat." 4th Young Master Feng said coldly, "Uncle Yang, let's talk about this clearly." Patriarch Yang and Patriarch Dong were furious. They came here to incite 4th Young Master Feng to deal with Xiao Lulang. Why was 4th Young Master Feng being incited by Xiao Lulang? He was really brainless, just like his father. Young Master Chen urged his horse to stop Gu Jiao. "Did we say that we'll let you go? You still haven't settled the score with our Chen and Du families." As soon as he finished speaking, Black Wind King raised his front hooves and stomped on their horses. The 2 horses were scared out of their wits, and Patriarch Chan and Patriarch Du both fell from their horses. They stabilized themselves with their lightness skills, but their horses were nowhere to be seen. Black Wind King took a step forward, and the 2 of them stepped aside. Gu Jiao looked down at the 2 of them. "Thanks for letting me win." With that, 1 person and 1 horse valiantly left. Only the 5 of them were left behind. Gu Jiao left the barracks, and Yi Qing was not there. Where is he?" "Over here." In a carriage not far away, someone waved at her. "Second Master Jing?" Gu Jiao tilted her head strangely and urged her horse over. "Why are you here?" The House of Duke didn't participate in the selection this time. Second Master Jing said, "I'm here to pick you up. Are you looking for Yi Qing?" "I told him to go back first, and I'll send you back to the Master's Hall later." Gu Jiao said, "I don't need you to send me back, I can go back myself." "But, why are you here to pick me up?" Second Master Jing snorted. "Isn't it because of my eldest brother? He wanted to come himself, but it'll be bad if he gets hurt here, so I said I'll come for him." Gu Jiao asked, "Is there something you need from me, Duke?" "You Second Master Jing was confused by Gu Jiao's reaction. He crossed his arms and looked at her from the window. Shouldn't you go and see my eldest brother? Huh? This time it was Gu Jiao's turn to be confused. Second Master Jing said, You used my eldest brother's identity to participate in the selection. What do you think? The House of Duke. Young Master? Gu Jiao opened her pouch and took out the token. She flipped it over to take a look, and there really was a Jing character engraved on it. Second Master Jing took in Gu Jiao's confused face, and he asked, You? Don't tell me you only found out now? Yes. Gu Jiao nodded in a daze. Second Master Jing. Gu Jiao kept the token and asked Second Master Jing, Why did the State Preceptor look for the House of Duke Ongwa? Isn't your relationship not good? Second Master Jing sighed, It's not good, so my eldest brother wanted to reject him at first, but when he heard that it was you, he agreed. I don't know what's so good about you that my eldest brother likes you so much. Gu Jiao said seriously, I'm very good. Second Master Jing. Gu Jiao used the identity of the House of Duke, so it was natural for her to meet the State Preceptor. However, she really didn't expect that the State Preceptor would choose the House of Duke. Second Master Jing looked at the majestic Black Wind King and asked doubtfully, Isn't this the horse that was badly injured in the Xian Yuan family? It's quite energetic. Gu Jiao said, It'll be more energetic in the future. Second Master Jing brought Gu Jiao to the courtyard where they were last time. Duke Ongwa sat in a wheelchair under the corridor, quietly looking at the direction of the main door, as if he had been waiting for Gu Jiao to appear. His complexion was more rosy than last time, and he no longer looked sickly. He heard Second Master Jing say that his eldest brother's limbs were more agile, and he could write more words. Seeing Gu Jiao enter the courtyard, Duke Ongwa's eyes brightened, and the hand on the wheelchair's armrest started to tremble slightly. Eldest brother, I've brought her. Second Master Jing walked in from Gu Jiao's side, blocking in front of Gu Jiao. Duke Ongwa's face darkened. Get out of the way. Gu Jiao also brought Black Wind King in. Black Wind King stopped being aggressive outside, and let the servants lead him to the stable to rest. Second Master Jing went to feed the horse. Gu Jiao came to the corridor, and there was already a chair in front of Duke Ongwa. He used his eyes to signal Gu Jiao to sit down. Duke Ongwa, your complexion is good recently. Gu Jiao sat down and looked at him. Every time Duke Ongwa saw Gu Jiao, he would be able to recover better. This was really a miraculous thing. Duke Ongwa dipped his fingertips in water and wrote on the wheelchair's armrest, How did I choose? Gu Jiao curved her lips. I was promoted. Dukan wrote proudly, just like what I think. Gu Jiao observed the strength of his fingers, and he did recover well. Gu Jiao looked at this very amiable face and asked, Why did you promise State Preceptor? I have a lot of enemies. Duke Ongwa wrote, I will protect you. A vegetable in a wheelchair actually threatened to protect a killer. A strange emotion flashed through Gu Jiao's heart. She didn't know what it was. It seemed to be a little hot, a little bitter, and a little painful. This kind of pain was not the same as the pain of being injured, so Gu Jiao didn't quite understand it. Duke Ongwa continued to write, I have something to give you. Push me in. Gu Jiao pushed him into the study. In fact, he didn't say the study. But Gu Jiao's intuition told her that he was referring there. After entering the study, Duke Ongwa stared straight at a blue and white porcelain vase on the bookshelf. Gu Jiao walked over, raised her hand, and put it on the vase. She turned it gently, and a secret door opened. Gu Jiao pushed Duke Ongwa to the door. Dukan wrote on the armrest, East, West, just inside, you go, get it. Oh. Gu Jiao agreed, and stepped into the secret room. What greeted her eyes was a set of red battle clothes and black armor. The materials of the battle clothes and armor were special, invulnerable to swords and spears, water and fire. Gu Jiao stared blankly at the red battle clothes and black armor in front of her, and didn't speak for a long time. Duke Angua raised his slightly trembling finger, and wrote with difficulty, "This is the battle armor that Eneen's grandfather prepared for Eneen. Unfortunately, Eneen didn't have a chance to wear it, so I'm giving it to you now." The battle clothes and armor didn't discriminate between men and women, and could be worn as long as the size was suitable. Gu Jiao's fingertips lightly touched the ice-cold armor. Duke Angua's strength was almost used up, and sweat appeared on his forehead. He continued to write, "Do you like it?" "I like it," Gu Jiao said. When Second Master Jing finished feeding the horses and came over, Gu Jiao had already changed into the battle clothes and armor, and was hugging a cold and austere helmet in her hands. Second Master Jing immediately stopped in his tracks. Of course, he knew that his eldest brother wanted to give her the armor, and he was against it at first. After all, it belonged to Eneen, and he didn't approve of giving it away. If his eldest brother really wanted to give it away, he could just go out and buy a set of armor. But when he really saw Gu Jiao in the red battle clothes and armor, standing valiantly in front of him, Second Master Jing suddenly had an illusion. It was as if these things originally belonged to her. After being covered in dust for so many years, they finally had their owner, and she had also taken back her battle clothes and armor. Digression: Xiaoxiang's monthly votes have already exceeded 5%. Big brothers, little cuties, Xuqing still needs 3 votes to reach 100%. Please give your support. The latest chapter of this book isn't finished yet. For more exciting content, please scan the QR code below to download the app. Novels are more complete and updated faster. Millions of novels are free to read. Novels with content that can't be found online are all available here. https://www.zhbqg.com/8964289642826/1066555127. HTML Genius memorized this website's address in 1 second. www.zhbqg.com Biku Gu mobile reading website, zhbqg.com. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.